here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rico and Bot. Oh, Bot. Hey.
We still haven't landed on a name. By the way, I sent Rico a name, right?
Give it to him. Give him the name that you said.
So I say to Rico, BF radio, no response. So like 2 hours go by, I said, "That's if you couldn't tell, that's what I was recommending to name the show." He goes, "Oh, I figured." He goes, on a text, he goes, he goes, "Let me think about it." I go, "Yeah, you don't like it. Back to the drawing board."
I don't know, man. BF radio could work. You could be not. I don't know. You guys let me know. Oh, look at that. We got so many names for Z-Bot, man. We got Z-Bot. We got Z-Boppin'.
It's funny. In high school, there was a ton of variations. Then that kind of died. Then Z-Bot just stuck. Lately, we have been spicing up Z-Bot to no end over the last month. Oh my God. Do you want to?
Yeah. You go. I'll handle this. You go handle your business.
I got a sweet surprise for the loyal viewers of BF Radio. I'll be right back.
So, folks, we are trying to figure out what to name this duo, this pod, this thing, and we just can't come with it. I mean, BF Radio is cool, but it's like, man, I mean, it's cool, but it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't sit well with like just him and I. You feel me? It's got to be something that it rocks with him and I. Would be like, okay, you get it. You know that it's the Rico Bot Show. You know what I mean? So, the Rebot Show. I don't know, man. We gotta figure something out. But folks, welcome to another edition of the Rico and Bot Show, the Bot and Rico Show, where we talk not only football, but we talk everything under the sun. And the best thing about the show, I think, because I get requested all the time, is, are you gonna take phone calls? Yeah, mother effing right, we will. Yes, we're gonna take some phone calls because it's just the best thing to do. To listen, to interact, and to jump in with our listeners, our viewers, right? You guys don't have to listen to us. You can listen to a whole bunch of other guys that are out there, but you guys are loyal enough to come and hang out with your boy and do our thing. And as Z-Bot is away from the mic, if you guys have been listening to us and watching us for a while, you know where he's going. I mean, just not too long ago, we were talking about jerseys, people that wear jerseys, and when it's the appropriate time to wear a jersey. Basketball jerseys, you can wear those, I think, pretty much all season long. Football jerseys, that's a whole different ballgame. Oh, and here we go. Big Booty Bot back in business with the Caitlin. Listen, how does it feel? It actually looks like it fits just right. It fits him just right, folks. I thought it was going to curve him up and make them all, you know what I'm saying? But it's a proper jersey.
So it came in, and the first thing I noticed was it was cut like a normal basketball jersey. So I was excited because the way we looked at it online, everyone remembers, they had that BBL, and I was worried. It's fine.
It actually looks pretty good, man. And this is appropriate. You can rock this jersey at any time, any season, any time of the year 365. Basketball jerseys can be rocked at any moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got the, it's funny, it's the exact same jersey, essentially, as the Nuggets home jerseys, too, which is odd. Like, it's literally the same. But it's nice. It's stitched. The numbers are stitched. The only weird thing I got to get used to is it's got the gigantic AT&T logo on the back. That's the new thing now.
Yeah, well, you know what? They've got to promote. They got sponsors. They got all that stuff.
I wonder when the NFL is going to finally take that plunge and say, "Oh, we're putting the logo on everything."
CFL does it all the time. CFL's got it they got it everywhere, just plastered. It's like soccer. Soccer's got it all over the place, right? So it is. How do you feel about this one, Z-Bot?
Midday shift.
Interesting. I'm gonna let that simmer with you.
Here's my thing. I don't like 3 words.
Oh.
Like
two-word
smoke
guy?
break, Rico report. Yeah, it's easy, right? Like, not including the word the, though, obviously.
Gotcha,
Like,
gotcha, gotcha.
it's just
Well,
whatever. But
smoke break, Rico report.
Rico
I got
report,
you. I got you.
yeah. I think usually you want 2 words. I also think that midday shift, like smoke break, play on my voice, Rico report, obviously your name. I also think you gotta keep it concise, but you gotta tie it in somewhat to what you're doing. So I get that it's obviously midday, but I don't think we're encapsulating the
This
show.
is what I said. It's got to encapsulate the two of us, our personalities, the way things go, and what the show is about. Right? It's not just football. It's everything in between, and anything that you guys want to talk about. And it's funny because Bot and I were talking about food. Obviously, we all love food. I think we all can attest to that. My man said, "Yo, the No Diddy report, boy, you tripping." The No Diddy report.
The Diddy report. We could be all Diddy on here.
The Diddley report. So we were talking about food. We were talking about going to restaurants, and by the way, you had me looking into the tapas, and
God, yeah,
the tapas. You don't really go for the food. You're not going for the food. I realized something. You're not going for the food. You're going for the ambiance, and you're going for drinks. A couple plates here and there. That's just for you to munch on. That's it. But really, where they get you is the liquor.
Yes.
And that's the way I looked at it. I was like, that is my vibe. That's a lounge moment. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let me just grab a bite of that. I'm not really here for the food, though. The problem is, did you go for the food because you were hungry? The tapas is not where you want to go.
Hell no. No, I only went because that was where I was told to go. Well, it wouldn't have been my choice.
There you go.
Right. Like we talked about, it all goes back to what we were saying. It's for the experience. But the thing of it is, to me, if you're going to a restaurant and it's not for the food, unless the place is well known for their drinks or whatever. Okay, cool. We'll get a little something that we're going to drink.
Right.
If you're going to a restaurant and it's not because you like the food, what the hell are you going there for? There's 1,000 places. I mean, especially where I live, there's a million unbelievable joints. Why are we going to the one? Why are we going to this one? It sucks.
By the way, speaking of sucks.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Z-Bot, take that damn jersey off. Knicks in 4, baby.
I didn't know the Knicks were playing Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever. How about those Knicks? How about that series? That was one of the best basketball series I've ever watched. Shout out to Tyrese Maxey. I mean, he basically in 2 straight games eliminated an 8-point deficit with under a minute left. I thought if Josh Hart doesn't nail that 3, the Sixers come back down 8 with like a minute and a half left and win that game.
To even have them still in the game.
Oh my God.
The series. Forget about the series, the game, the series. Take a 3-ball with less than 10 seconds left from the logo.
That was insane.
Bro, you got to have the balls of steel to do something like that. The nerve. Got to give it to them. But the Knicks, basketball is great when Knicks are winning. Basketball, and just no different. When Bills are doing well, football is great when the Bills are doing great. You just can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong with that. So big shout out to the Knicks. My Lakers.
Go ahead. Well, I was gonna bring up your Lakers. Did you see the breaking news?
Which one? Did I miss it? Because Darvin Ham, did let go of Darvin Ham?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's not all that shocking, but
it's not that shocking. They keep recycling. They keep recycling coaches left, right, center. Every 2 years, it's a new damn coach. Like, how you expect to win?
Just throw a $5 million bonus on LeBron's salary and let him coach. What the hell is the difference? I mean, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense to me. But yeah, the NBA is looking good. My father-in-law is a big Leafs fan. The Leafs were down 3-1. They're tied at 3-3. I'm not a hockey guy, but golly, that's exciting.
This would be the second year in a row that the Bruins could blow a 3-1 lead and lose the series in the first round.
That's right. They did it last year too.
They did it last year. They were the 1 seed. They had one of the best records in NHL history. They lost to the lowest seed in the tournament, the Panthers, who went on to lose to Vegas in the Cup. The Leafs, though, are usually the ones doing the choke jobs, and it's Boston right now. They didn't even score last night, the Bruins.
Listen, well, 0.1 seconds is that's when they really just let that. Listen, how am I talking hockey? I'm not even a hockey guy, and listen to me talking hockey with you.
This is the beauty of this time of year, though, because this is what I love these sports when there's urgency. I love the NBA when me too, Pow Diddy, me too. I was on Bruins money line. But me too. When there's urgency to hockey and there's urgency to the NBA, it's the best. And you're watching it. The NBA the last 2 weeks has been incredible because you're getting 45 minutes a night from the top players. Everyone's balling out. Every game matters. And the product is incredible. That's why the NFL will always be king, because you're getting that from week 1 to February. That's what everybody loves. Every second of every game matters, and it just frankly doesn't in the regular season of the NHL, the MLB, and the NBA. So that's why when you get to the playoffs, it's great.
It is absolutely great. Now, here's I do want to bring this up. Bills and things. Interesting.
Bills and tings.
Bills and
My mom just texted me, by the way. She goes, "Love the jersey," so she knows.
She knows what's up. It's her baby boy. She's not going to tell you you look terrible. She's going to look you look handsome.
Yeah, we had what's funny, we had a similar type debate last week at the wedding we went to, because there was a big debate on Caroline's dress. I didn't particularly love it. Her mom didn't like it. My dad didn't like it. Yes, but she liked it and her friends liked it.
Hold on.
It was very split down the middle.
You were bold enough to say, I don't like it.
Oh yeah.
So was it too revealing?
No, it was actually the opposite. It was floral and it was huge and it kind of looked like a peacock in a way. Wow. It really grew on me. Right. She got so many compliments throughout the night on it, though. It just goes to show you how much of a dumbass I am. But I thought I was valid because she FaceTimes her mom, who always shoots it straight, and she said, "I hate it."
She didn't even say, "Hun, I don't know."
No, she said, "I hate it." So I was like thinking to myself, but my mom loved it. She loved it, but I don't know if she'd ever tell Caroline any different. So that's why that was the problem. But it all worked out.
It was split down the middle. But then you said it grew on you.
It grew on me. It grew on me because I was thinking the way that the wedding, the wedding setting, I didn't know if like floral, but I don't know shit about stuff like this. So it just goes to show you, I was dead wrong. I literally watched her have 3 different women come up to her and say, "Oh my God, I love that dress."
Well, women are liars too, though. Women are liars. They can tell you they love your dress and straight up say, "God, did you see that thing? It's horrible. What is she doing?" Yeah. "Oh my God, it looks amazing on you." Bullshit. They're liars. I've heard it with the wife. I've heard it. I'm not that she says it, but she says, I know girls that do stuff like that. They will connivingly say it looks great on you when you know full well it doesn't. But that's just the way
they say it's so genuine. They say it's so genuine too. It's like you like it's vicious almost the way they do it. But the girls who said it to her didn't. Caroline didn't know anyone at the wedding, so you got to think it was somewhat valid because there was no reason to say it. But the moral here is you get to a point where like I don't think certain people would ever say a bad thing about certain things. I also don't know if certain people would ever shoot it straight. So you got to have the right balance of people when it comes to stuff like this, so you know exactly what you're getting into. So
normally when couples go to functions, weddings specifically, they try to match a little bit. Match my colors, or maybe put your tie the same, or the belt or something. Did you have anything that matched anything that she was wearing?
No, I don't think so. Oh, well, maybe a little bit of the navy in my suit. There was a little navy in it potentially, but no, there was no coordination on that side. I usually let her handle all that. If that's
navy blue suit, brown shoes.
So yeah, so I was just gonna bring that up. So I gotta go and choose the get up for my wedding tomorrow, and I think that's what I'm gonna go. I'm going with the navy, with the brown shoes.
You can't ever go wrong with the navy. And that being said, that means I can't wear it because I have a ensemble. I can't do that now. I can't wear.
You have to. Are you kidding me? Are you shitting me, dude? The guys have like a list of 4 things that they can choose from. So
you don't care?
No, hell no.
Because that's my getup.
Besides, that's my getup. I mean, if that was what my buddy was wearing at the wedding, his wedding the other day, so be it. I mean, sorry.
We go roll with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like with women, if someone shows up to a wedding in a white dress, I mean, then you're just you're a lunatic. But with guys, I mean, what are you supposed to wear? You're supposed to wear a neon pink suit because the guy's wearing black during the wedding. There's only a couple of options.
Listen, when you go to this wedding, by the way, the meal, great meal, terrible meal, generic.
Meal was good.
Chicken and veggies.
So it's funny when we go to weddings now, it's almost like we're going to seminars where we write down what we like and what we don't like because we have ours coming up. And everything was great about it.
Right.
The one thing though is that the cocktail hour is huge for us. Like that has to be executed to perfection. And we noticed like, a couple things like, and it's not ever the fault of the person. It's more the fault of the staff. Like it was a little, the bar can never be understaffed to me. You can never have too few people or too many people working behind the bar at a wedding. Because if you have a line out the door the entire time, no one likes that.
Nobody's interested.
So we're just observing. So the one thing that we want to make sure happens is that that's not a thing. And then that there's plenty of different food to choose from before the actual meal. Because I don't know how you feel, but at a wedding, does anybody really give a shit about the main meal? You don't want to just sit there and eat the whole time anyways. I feel like the better part is the hors d'oeuvre type stuff. Kind of gets you up and interacting. You know what I mean?
At the beginning, I'm with it. That's the way I rock. I mean, I go to wedding. The food is cool and all, but like it's the before stuff. Oh, pigs in the blanket. Oh, I like that. What is that? Tuna tartare? Let me have some of that.
Exactly.
You start to explode with the palate. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Exactly.
So
I just think the more you have people sitting at their table, the worse. You don't want that. You want everybody up and getting after it.
But
so
you're banging it right now. I got my man Alpha Rob says it's funny people knock the signing, but if KC would have done it, it's like reloading. And they want to get right into it. They want to get it. Well, listen, let me get your take on. Listen, we haven't even talked draft with you yet.
I know. Where do you want to start?
So, bump all this Chase Claypool. We'll get to the Chase Claypool. And if you know what I mean, you guys have been listening to us for a long time. You guys already know what time it is. We'll get to it. But we haven't got your take. We haven't got your thoughts. We haven't got your grades on Brandon Beane. We haven't, because the last time I spoke to you, you still trusted in Beane, but you really had issues with the trade down.
Yes.
Although people were calling you out saying you wanted the trade down. What are you bitching about?
I did.
And you explained yourself. And now we are well over a few days past this draft. Your thoughts?
So a couple of things came out in regard to that. We came to find New England actually offered the Bills more than the Chiefs did to trade up to 28, and the Bills denied it. And at first, it seemed like the Bills didn't want to work with an interdivision rival. That wouldn't make any sense because you willingly worked with your biggest conference rival. Who gives a shit what you're doing with New England right now? Because they're irrelevant until they become relevant again. But it was because the word on the block was they were going to take Keon Coleman. So then Brandon Beane works with the Chiefs. In hindsight, I think we've come to know that Keon Coleman was the guy for Beane. He was the guy for Allen. And I think that because of that, I still absolutely hate the idea of working with the Chiefs. But once I heard that, and once I heard that there was a game plan in mind, I think we kind of came to the consensus that night, or at least I did. It felt like there wasn't much of a plan once.
That's what you were saying. You were saying that.
Once BTJ was off the board, it felt like it was pretty erratic for Beane. I think in hindsight, it might have been a little more, it might have been a little bit more calculated based on hearing that than I had thought. But nonetheless, I still think that they could have gotten Coleman and then not traded with the Chiefs. But that I was way more heated at the time than I am now. I still do hate the idea of working with them, especially when they do get who they got. And I think that he will work, not necessarily because you're hearing so many people trying to justify how bad this guy is going to be. I just don't see it because he's playing with Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. I mean, maybe if he was going to the Raiders, it wouldn't be great. But regardless, I'm over that. I'm more set on having my mindset be determined based on how this all unfolds. We said that. I mean, if Worthy comes out and he dominates, my anger is going to only grow from there. I still hate that they did it, but it's over and done now. And, the way things matured after that, it salvaged my mindset a bit, with that in mind.
And sometimes two things can be correct in terms of, listen, the right move was to trade down, and the right move was to take Keon Coleman, right? And if both the Chiefs and Bills succeed, or one is succeeding with the other, and Coleman succeeds with the Bills, it's a win-win. And the best thing about this is, I don't know if you've gone through all our trades, excuse me, all our draft picks, but the third draft pick we got, I think, is going to be a stud, an absolute stud in Dwayne Carter, the defensive tackle out of Duke. They call him Mr. Duke because he was well respected at Duke University, 3-time captain, and that's who we got. And when you see his press conference, you're like, yo, this guy's like an old soul, man. Like, don't play with this guy. Like, he's going to be, I think he becomes a captain in the next, within 3 years, he's a captain.
Wow.
That's how confident I believe his, because he said, I grew up learning not to be bullied and not be punked, but still stand for respect. Yo, I like that.
Sure.
So that means as a rookie, listen, I'll be a rookie and all that, but you ain't gonna push me around like some punk bitch.
Yeah.
Like, we go get it popping. So that's the third round pick that we got out of this Coleman thing. So I'm glad that you've come around. So let's get your thoughts first and foremost on Keon Coleman.
Yeah. So let's just keep everything in mind. So, like I said, I still hate the idea of working with the Chiefs, but I do think once we've moved on from the situation, based on what we've heard since, and with getting Dwayne Carter there in round 3, as it stands right now, I would say I'm like 70%, in a better spot than I was that night. Now, moving on to the draft.
That's a lot. That's good.
Yeah, just because I think a lot of it was at the time for me.
Yeah.
And it was also going to be contingent on what was done. I didn't think that round 3 was so late to me. I didn't know if it would be significant. But the way Brandon Beane was able to navigate.
I'm just gonna mess around here. Go ahead.
The day 2, day 3.
Yep.
I thought it was awfully impressive. There was a couple things that bugged me, but there's certainly a lot to like here. I think overall, based on what I've seen, you got a lot of people giving the Bills a low end C. You got a lot of people giving them as high as an A. It's interesting, and it's almost nice, because I think that tells you that there's no certainty one way or the other on what there's going to be for the Bills based on who they've taken here. And oftentimes the amount of certainty there is, that comes with expectations that aren't met one way or the other. And I think that what it tells you is that there's a lot of upside here, but there's room for disappointment. And I think that we can see that throughout the board here. But We've known Brandon Beane in his time as the GM for the Buffalo Bills to be the guy who likes taking risks on boom or bust players. And the Bills wouldn't be who they are today if he didn't take that ultimate risk on Josh Allen, who everyone thought would be a bust, and wound up booming. Keon Coleman is being considered one of those types of wide receivers in the mix of the gigantic draft class of wide receivers in 2024 here. He is being touted as one of those boom or bust type guys. So the one thing that frustrated me the most throughout the entire draft weekend, in addition to moving with the Chiefs, was not double dipping at wide receiver. We had talked about the idea of
that way. Okay.
Yeah. We had talked about, people saying, oh, they're going to move back and double dip. And I had kept saying there's no way Brandon Beane uses the first 2 or 3 picks of his on the same position, especially offensively. I just don't see it. And what do you know? He takes Keon Coleman with the first one, and the next 2 picks back-to-back were defensive players. But I loved the Cole Bishop pick. I thought that was a guy that we could foresee going to the Bills in the second round throughout a lot of the situations we had ran through prior to the draft. That wound up working out. And then Ray Davis, your boy there in round 4, I wasn't expecting a running back that early, but when you had that many picks between 128 and 168, they probably felt he would be gone. And based on the value, that was the best opportunity to go and get that guy. So I think the first 4 picks, Rico, I liked a lot. I also like that when you go throughout the entire board, every single positional group of need was addressed. And I thought that was going to be a big task for Beane going into this weekend. There was far more needed than just wide receiver. We knew this. And Brandon Beane addressed, at the very least, every single positional group that needed addressment. But To
Yes,
me, the wide receiver position needed the most addressment. And I was just shocked that not even in round 6 or 7, they took a flyer on another guy. So I don't know if that means, I mean, it's just, we'll get into the Chase Claypool thing, but I don't know if that means there's more on the horizon based on what they did. I don't know if that means you're going to get the Chase Claypools of the world and, maybe one or two other guys that are out there right now that are Chase Claypool-esque names that aren't going to be roster breakers for these guys, but are going to be added depth. I was just shocked that there wasn't another dip there. I mean, we got down to round 4, Rico, and Troy Franklin was still sitting there.
Yes,
and I was anticipating that was going to be the Bills' pick. But I swear to God, I was texting with my buddies, and pick 95 came up in round 3 when they took Dwayne Carter. Mm-hmm. Troy Franklin was on the board, and I said to my boys, I guarantee you this is going to be a defensive lineman. I don't know who. I don't know why. I just guarantee that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be
your team.
Yeah, and that's what it was. So I was shocked that a guy that was mocked to the Bills as early as the late first, early second fell that far. I would have loved if they've done that. I know you like Dwayne Carter, and I know there's a lot to like there for sure.
Yep.
But I thought that might have been,
you think it was a reach
to me that could have been exactly what I wanted to see. I guess ultimately, though, the biggest shocker was that he didn't address the wide receiver position again. Not once after, how many, what did they have? Almost 10 picks?
Yeah,
there wasn't another throw of the dice towards another wide receiver. So I think this tells you a lot of things, Rico. Let's talk in particular about the one that's going to stand out here the most, and that's Keon Coleman. There's a lot to look at here, and this is why it's so interesting. Brandon Beane has placed a major wager on the success of Keon Coleman. Let's get into just what went into drafting Keon Coleman where they did, because a lot went into it. And the more something goes into a pick, the more you have to think that the team choosing that guy has that much belief in him. We saw that throughout the entire weekend for a variety of teams, no more than the Atlanta Falcons, who have been getting shredded for the last week, and deservingly so. But we could all look back at that, and Michael Penix could be the next whoever, and it could work out. But, it's all going to be based on what you feel like you need and who that guy's going to be to fill the need. So they clearly felt Keon Coleman was the guy. Here's what they did surrounding the Keon Coleman pick. They did not trade up.
Nope. Which
we were being told they were going to do from beginning to end. In fact, Brandon Beane came out and told us that was never in the cards, especially going up to get a guy like Odunze. It was never, ever even talked about, much less a possibility. So they don't do that. They trade with Kansas City, who does take Worthy, the fastest guy in the combine in some time here, a guy the Bills could have had, not saying that they should have had, not saying I wanted him to have, but a guy that Kansas City takes with the Buffalo Bills pick, who is elite when it comes to his quickness and could be a problem for these Buffalo Bills moving forward. Not saying he will be, not saying he won't be, but the possibility of him being that is surely out there, and it's always going to be linked back to the Buffalo Bills pick. So they do that. They trade out of the first round after that. They trade with Carolina. They don't take Xavier Legette, who the Carolina Panthers wind up taking. So they trade all the way out of the first round. Don't take that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Then we heard immediately that night, Rico, the phones were buzzing. The Bills could have moved back again. Not sure what they would have gotten, but it seemed like they could have gotten something halfway decent if the phones were lighting up like crazy as soon as the Bills were on the clock for the first pick in day 2. They don't move, Rico. They stay right where they are at 33, and they take Keon Coleman. A lot comes with that as well, because they passed on numerous other guys. They passed on Ladd McConkey, who, Rico, goes the very next pick.
Their next pick.
They pass on A.D. Mitchell, who goes a couple of picks after that. This is why I'm saying
after that, bottom of the second.
Who was the guy that went a couple picks after? It wasn't A.D. Mitchell. My bad. He went to the Colts. So you're right.
Yeah, A.D. Mitchell. It was. I think it was Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey was right after.
Ladd McConkey went right after. There was one other guy.
That's why we got the internet, right? Let's look it up.
Yeah, there was one other guy, I believe, that went shortly after.
I'll let you know as you keep going because I got to pull it up.
Regardless.
Yeah,
AD Mitchell was the guy. Oh, Polk. That's right. Thank you, Jalen Polk. Which, by the way,
yes, Jalen Polk.
I had been hyping these Washington receivers. He was mocked late second, and there goes Polk right after McConkey. Thanks to the chat for pointing that out. I forgot that Polk had risen up as much as he did.
Yes, he
so
did.
Then it was Polk who goes, and then it was AD Mitchell. So think about all the things I just said.
It was Keon Coleman. Lad McConkey was the very next pick after Keon Coleman. And then the two picks go in, defensive tackles in Ruke or Hororo, and then Jerzon Newton, and then Jalen Polk.
Yep.
Was the fifth receiver taken. But please go on, sir.
No, I'm going to wrap up with this. Think about all of the things I just said. That was at least a 2-minute soliloquy there about all that happened right before, during, and after the Bills pick at their original pick at 28. And that all led to going with one guy, Keon Coleman. All of the wide receivers on the board that were available, Rico, the Bills maneuvered twice out of it, passed on multiple guys, and also passed on other guys that went after Coleman to stick with Coleman. So this can be looked at glass half full, glass half empty type way.
Absolutely.
But I think right now, the only way you can look at it, because we don't know anything yet, we haven't seen these guys take a snap. The only way you can look at it right now is half full. Because think about all the things I just said, and all of these things are what Brandon Beane had to weigh on before making this pick, and he still found that Keon Coleman was the guy. So they go with Coleman. It's a major, major gamble, not because it's a risky pick. I don't think it's as risky as everybody's making it out to be. The guy can play ball, no question about it. I have to my own point, as many people that are trying to say that Worthy will be successful with Mahomes, you have to have that same mentality with Coleman and Josh Allen. You can't have it both ways. But that's also why I think both succeed. So to those thinking Worthy is going to bust out and Coleman's going to be great, I don't quite understand that mindset, because they're both playing with the two best quarterbacks in the game right now, right? It's just a matter of how, the careers from each one are going to go within that success. I have a very hard time believing both are going to blow, Rico. You know what I mean? But with that said, a lot goes into this, Rico, a lot. And here it is. This is the guy. Right off the bat, though, I don't know how you can't love the guy. He is now instantly a fan favorite. And the Bills did exactly what they wanted to do, I feel like, from a business standpoint here. They bring in a guy that is instantly going to be the Robin to Josh Allen's Batman, in a sense of the face of the team. This guy already is the most viral player online from the draft for the best reasons possible. So as it stands right now, before we've even taken a snap, a big bet has been placed. But so far, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who doesn't love this guy already in Buffalo.
Listen, I'm a big fan, but can I be real with you?
Absolutely.
Can I be real? Can I share my thoughts with Bills Mafia? We're only like less than a week in on coverage of this draft class, and I'm already getting cringed out with the normal things that this individual's doing and how he's capturing everybody's attention. And it's like, it's cringe to me. I love it. I love it that he's getting all this attention, but he's just saying just normal basic stuff and everybody's eating it up. Oh, he's so funny. Fam, everybody calm the F down, man. Y'all are making him to a big ass celebrity and all that stuff. And it's
great. I see where you're going with this.
You see what I'm saying? The
bar is there's going to be a level of expectation that comes with this.
Raising him up. I think they're just doing too much. We're doing too much, Bills Mafia. Temper. Let this man just chill and be himself. And every little thing this man does, he goes into the cold chamber. Hey, this is kind of like the Undertaker. Fam.
I agree with you completely. The only one there was two I genuinely love. And I thought it was so great that Chad Ochocinco commented on it, because the first thing I thought of when he brought up buying coats 2 months in advance to save a couple bucks, he was the first thing I thought of. Because Chad Ochocinco still drives, I think he drives a smart car, and he eats McDonald's 3 times a week. The guy still has his communion money, for God's sake. Chad Johnson doesn't spend $1. And he's the first guy I thought of. So I loved that, because that was genuinely funny. And then the Tiger wish he could was hilarious because he just said it so effortlessly. But I agree with you on the other ones. The other ones do seem like they're forcing you to laugh at it. The other ones, it's genuinely fun.
It's like let it organically, you know what I mean, happen. It's just like everybody's looking for a soundbite now. Now it's just like it's gonna be about a soundbite. Okay, what's the next thing he's gonna say so we can like it's like, yo, fam, let this young kid, 20 years old, let him just like let him chill. Like y'all don't have to. But I will say this though, he is grabbing everybody. Like everybody's loving him, and as they should. This guy seems like a genuine good kid, well spoken, and what I love about this is that it's not fake on his end.
Yes.
It's just genuine. You know what I'm saying? So, and I love it. I just hope that there are going to be some ups and downs, Bills Mafia. There are going to be some ups and downs. So this energy that we're giving this young kid, let's keep that energy, because when things go bad, we know how we can get as Bills Mafia. We rain down on y'all. Oh, he's a this and he's a that, bro. He's a second round pick. Let him develop. He's going to have to develop. We know he doesn't have that long speed like a lot of these other guys. He's got all the other skill sets around. Let him develop it so we can get into that big dog. But fam, like we need to temper ourselves just a little bit. But I'm not here to rain on the parade because I love everything about him. There's a clip that I wanted to play that I think everybody's seen, and I just love seeing it again.
There's a couple clips, bro. I mean, I posted one the other day of him. He tore both the D-backs ACLs on one slant move on the goal line. I mean, the guy, he's got a highlight reel. There's no question about it. I mean, there's some clips, man.
And this is the one clip. I do like this clip. This clip I'm about to play for everybody. You guys have seen it, and I don't mind watching it over again. I think it's legit. I think it's really cool. Check this out.
What do you do outside of football?
Chill at the house, golf, bowl a little bit.
You golf?
I ain't no golf. I'm Tiger. Wish he could. I'm not Tiger Woods. I wish I could putt and do all that.
So I do want to pause this for a second, and you guys will have to watch this over again so you can see it. As this banter is going on, everybody's laughing their asses off, right? I don't know why, but I found myself fixated on Brandon Beane, and the whole time Brandon Beane's like watching him just kind of banter with everybody. It looks like Brandon Beane's trying to catch the joke, like. I'm trying to be there. I'm with it. But if you pay attention, I think it's hilarious. But you can just tell how this guy can capture a room, and everybody is just, there's a presence about this guy, and you gotta love it.
I'm glad you said that because
What's that?
I'm glad you said that because I think you're watching why Beane did what he did here. People I don't know, not everybody underestimates. I think a lot of people know by now. But to the extent in which stuff like this matters to Brandon Beane, like, I mean, I know Mr. Intaman's in here shitting on the Bills the last 5 minutes, but he's saying, wow, he's a fun guy. That matters in football. Ironically enough, it kind of does. And I'm telling you, whether you think it matters on the field or not, it might not matter on the scoreboard. But you're nuts if you don't think it matters to Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills. And that, I think, is why I think you're watching this clip. And I'm glad you mentioned, because I fixate myself on Beane and McDermott in these situations, nobody else. And I think these are the moments you realize when the pool came down to 6, 7 guys to choose from. If the talent gap wasn't all that wide, and Beane's thinking, I got my mutant type guy that I can be Mr. X with and turn into the stud, and I know this guy's going to be a locker room sensation. You're watching here right now why Brandon Beane more than likely did what he did.
Nailed it.
Them boys out there shooting 5 under. I ain't doing all that. I'm my TV 5 to hit just to put it in. But I'm gonna go have fun. Like, it's controlled chaos. You frustrated, but you can't get mad. Pull a muscle in your back trying to hit the ball. So it forces me to stay calm and just swing. Just have some fun.
What do you do outside of football?
So love it. Big fan of it. This guy is going to be he's going to be something, man. And I just hope that, because when someone's got an innocence about them and there's a purity about someone, you hope that someone doesn't take that away. You hope that someone doesn't tarnish it. And when someone's so infectious and they love the game, you just hope that, and there's going to be some tough times in Buffalo. There's going to be some games that we lose, and it might be a game that it could be him that's dropping a game winner. Who knows what it's going to be? I just hope that let this young kid just develop and get groomed up and ready to go, and that he'll be a dog for years to come. But like, we've posted him up way onto a pedestal right now. And I just hope that everybody just, you know what I mean, when things go Ari, because it will be, it's not always going to be perfect. I think that we will I hope that we embrace him and show him the same energy that we did before. But big fan of Keon Coleman. Skill set wise, do you think this is going to mesh well with Josh Allen and this offense? Because he's not a speedster. Let me beat you down deep. He's more, I don't want to call him a possession receiver either, because I think he's a little more than a possession receiver. But your thoughts on his skill set? What do you think he's going, like, what do you think how do you think they're going to use him? I think that's the best way. And it's tough to say, but what do you think? How do you think they'll use him?
He's not quick, but he is his ability to move is as good as anybody's. He's able to get in and out with the best of them. He might not beat you down the field on sheer speed, but there, as it stands right now, outside of Tyreek Hill being the low-hanging fruit example, not all the best wide receivers in this league are based on their ability to just sheerly beat you off the ball and run down the field. Because if that was the case, then any track star out there could be a wide receiver on an NFL team. So that might be his shortcoming, and I think that that's going to be constantly talked about, mainly because of the Xavier Worthy relation. This is what I was getting to the other night, and what I hate about working with the Chiefs is when you take a guy that's being considered maybe on the slower end of that type of gameplay in comparison to Worthy, who's on the higher end. It's going to constantly be that comparison that I just think the Bills could have avoided, but whatever, we're over it. What I do love, though, is that I personally think that if there was one thing that I could take a step back on when it comes to a receiver and be fine with it, it would be that, because it's not necessarily contingent on your success, because you have so many other avenues to be able to be successful without being the fastest guy on the field. And I think that with the size, he's going to be able to body up just about any cornerback in the league. He had an insanely low drop rate, meaning he's going to catch the majority of what's coming his way.
1,000%.
I also think that he has a game style that is going to be able to be worked within a variety of different sets. I think you can send him deep. You can keep him underneath where it seems like he has a great ability of being able to get open. But he also gets himself open in moments where it doesn't feel like he's open. And we know Josh Allen loves throwing the ball in areas where maybe he shouldn't. And I don't know if they've had the guy recently that's going to go up and catch those type of balls. Diggs was a phenomenal receiver, but it wasn't a one-on-one type gameplay from Stephon Diggs that you were relying on with him. I think you got a guy here in Coleman that the Bills haven't had with Josh Allen. And that's, you're kind of open, maybe not open, but I'm going to get it up there. And I like my chances of you coming down with it. And that seems like what he is. And I think that that's one of the reasons why Josh Allen wanted him, and one of the reasons they wound up going with him. I think there's a skill set there that's different than what they have right now. And I think that that's probably the most beneficial aspect of it, because you're going to get the sure hand underneath from Shakir. You're going to get the sure hand underneath from Kincaid. And I think you're going to get those yak yards or the ability to move the ball in the intermediate game from Curtis Samuel. I think that Keon Coleman brings you a little bit of everything, but you now have a guy that I like my chances in any one-on-one situation. And I don't know if the Bills have had that type of guy. It's almost A.J. Brown-esque, not in the sense of the talent, but in the sense that if I'm throwing the ball up and it's A.J. Brown and a cornerback, I'm picking A.J. Brown every time. And I think that the Bills now have a guy that they feel is that type of guy. So the one thing that I think stands out above the rest, Rico, he might not be the best at one particular thing, but I think he's pretty damn good at a variety of different things. And the way the Bills played offense last year towards the tail end of the season, that seems like what's going to fit them best under Joe Brady. It doesn't feel like they're going to need a guy that's going to be the sole dominant entity on the stat sheet. They want a guy that's going to be able to fit within a spread out wealth. And we saw that last year. And I think you're going to get that with Coleman in addition to the things that I think he brings to the team that they don't currently have right now.
That's a great observation. And it's all going to play out. Minicamp, listen, rookie minicamp is just around the corner. So we're really now going to see, a little bit more of Keon Coleman. I'm excited about it. And I'm excited how he's going to mesh with our new and improved run game. Obviously, with the addition of Ray Davis, you got Ty Johnson coming back. Frank Gore Jr. I mean, is going to be contributing somehow, some way. Who knows how that's all going to play out? And then we haven't even touched on our Curtis Samuel, our Khalil Shakir, our Dalton Kincaid. So big things are coming our way at the receiver position. It's going to be fun. It's really going to be fun.
I'll say this, Rico. I don't know how you feel. I think the one thing that it concerns me is I just do think that it's a lot to ask, depending on how things go. Like if they go out next year and it's more of if it's more of an evolved version of what we saw at the end of the year last year, which I think it very well could be, then I'm fine with it. But I think that if it's not, and it's more air raid like they were before that era in which was the Bills offense the second half of the season last year, right. It is a lot to ask this guy to come in and be the X receiver in year one, where it does feel like he's going to take some time to be the guy that he can be. I just genuinely wish right now there was one other guy of his equivalent on this team to where it could take some of that, one, expectation, what you were alluding to earlier, and two, potentially the need for him to be that as well. I don't know if the Bills are going to have that. I don't think they're going to, because the way it sits right now, they didn't go and get another one in the draft. Not that guy would have been that, but it would have been another chance for it. And two, I think based on seeing the Claypool signings and stuff today, I think we have already known this. The odds of him being going out and getting that gigantic X big blockbuster name is probably a 99% chance to not happen. So there's part of me right now that does have some concern about him being expected to be the one immediately. But if they do wind up playing the way they did towards the second half of the season last year, it might alleviate that to some degree.
At the end of the day, you're not wrong. And what I love about when I'm potting is when my wife comes in and wants to have a full-blown conversation with me. She wants to have a full-blown freaking conversation with me as I'm potting. I'm pointing at the damn screen.
What she got?
Oh, I'm so sorry since you're on here for hours at a time, and I'm just
Z-Bot Jr. over there doesn't want to get off ever, Jenna.
What's that?
An hour. Hi, fam.
What did you say? I didn't even hear what you said.
I said I'm leaving to go close the store.
Oh, okay. No, full-blown conversation right in the middle of a pod.
Yep.
The respect that I get, Z-Bot.
Oh boy.
Earrings
are coming off.
To take your earrings off and do what? Anyway, Z-Bot, I appreciate that, man.
Rico, where it's like, could you see it though? Where maybe one. What's up?
I said, appreciate you holding that down as my wife is trying to freaking get in my ear, and you're so eloquently talking about this damn game, and she's yapping my damn ear, and I was trying to very much keep my peace.
What do you think? Do you think it could be a year where there isn't 1,000-yard receiver, but they have three guys with like 700 plus?
Hold on, Z-Bot, let me tell you something. I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is a conversation that's happening behind doors, right? Mm-hmm. So there was a poll that was put up by our guy Pierre. I hate when people say Pierre. All right, and Pierre didn't put any names; he just put numbers. And I'm gonna see if I can pull that tweet up in just a moment, but. And the poll, it was an interesting poll, and the amount of people that jumped onto this poll and answered it, and it really does have something to do with what you just mentioned about statistics, numbers, right? Because this is a numbers game. And Pierre put up a poll, and I'm gonna pull it up here in just a moment so you guys can have an idea, and you guys can jump on this poll. I think it's probably over and done with, but he wanted to collect data. Data is a big thing here, right? So you want to collect some data. So let me pull that up just so I can give you an idea. I hope you guys can see it. So the question was, let's actually collect data here. He says, is there a receiver, pass catcher on the Bills roster that can realistically average 6 receptions and 69 yards? So I bring that up and I ask you that question. I'm going to bring that poll back in just a moment. And by the way, 30%, he put Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, or no, they don't.
So that would be 1,000 yards, I'm assuming, right?
That's 1,100 yards
and
100 receptions, give or take. All right.
Kincaid to me is the right answer.
Kincaid?
But you want to know what that would mean to me, Rico?
What does that mean?
He would have to be the focal point. So this is why I asked you this question. I'm wondering if there is a focal point. And that's why I'm wondering if it's more of Are we going to have Curtis Samuel, Kincaid, and Coleman with 700 plus? And when you average it out, it winds up equaling to what they've had, if not better. And it's not being spearheaded by one particular guy.
I agree. I'm with you. So do you know what and there was a setup. You know, Pierre, when Pierre asks questions, it's a setup. He's setting you people up and you don't realize
Yeah, he's got his answer already in mind.
He's just waiting to and the reason he pulled up those specific numbers, 6 for 69, is because that's what Stephon Diggs gave us just last season. He averaged 6 receptions, 69 yards. And
it was very top heavy. Very top heavy.
It's not, it's doable. So maybe Curtis Samuel becomes a guy that takes that role, not becomes Stephon Diggs, but can give you those similar numbers, 6 receptions a game, 69 yards, nothing insane. And we go from there. And you asking 700 yards here, listen, average, what is Josh Allen average a year? He's throwing what? Almost 4,000 yards a year?
Yep.
Dude, you can give 1,000 yards, give 1,000 yards to, let's say, Kincaid. Give another 1,000 to whoever you want to put up as the number 2, right? There's still a lot of yardage to go around. So there's going to be, and the beautiful thing about this whole situation is Josh will not feel, like you were alluding to, will not feel, like you said, top heavy, will not feel like he needs to just find that one player. Now he can play freely. Whoever can get the ball. I don't have to say, where's number 14? And I love number 14. I'm a big fan of number 14 still. But at the end of the day, I think Josh is going to have a free throw. I think he's going to play more free, and he's just going to sling that rock, and he can actually pass for even more yardage. So you might have 2,000-yard receivers. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised, especially with the type of receivers that we have. It would not surprise me, Kincaid being one of them, and whoever becomes the second one. And that is where the debate begins. So hopefully that becomes the case. And will Kincaid be like a top-heavy guy? Will he feel like he needs to look for Kincaid? I don't think so, because the tight end is always your safety blanket. So whenever your looks are not there, your safety blanket is always going to be around. And Kincaid seems to have a good feel for what Josh can do and likes to do. So big things are coming this Buffalo Bills way. I am very confident and I'm no homer. I refuse to be a homer. But how could you not be confident in what Josh Allen's going to bring? What with the O-line potential still kind of being the same. Nothing's changed. We got younger. So I see big things coming Buffalo's way, and we're going to see now how second-year Kincaid looks like. We're going to see what it looks like with Joe Brady back with Curtis Samuel, how they're going to have these two form things out. And then now you just sprinkled in Keon Coleman in the red zone. How could you not be excited? I didn't even talk about James Cook in the backfield.
That's what I wanted to bring up. Because so Diggs had 160 targets last year. That was nearly 70 more than the second receiver, which was Kincaid. And Diggs had nearly 1,200 yards. Gabe had 746. So you had two guys last year that were 700 plus. Shakir had slightly over 600. Kincaid had slightly less than 700. So I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out where I think the average will come from this year to either, match this or go beyond it. So I'm looking at James Cook, 54 targets, and he had almost 450 yards in the air.
Yep.
I think you can bump James Cook's targets up from 54 to 75. I think you can work him in the pass game. Yeah, I know it is. But I think that you can bump that up because I think that the way that they've been playing is more conducive to that style. And I think that's why they drafted him. And I know 54 targets for a running back is, it's pretty decent. But couldn't you see James Cook going from 445 receiving yards? Couldn't you see him getting up to maybe 75 was too high, but what about 70? 15 more targets than last year. Maybe bump him up to 600 yards instead of 450. So you get 600 out of him. Kincaid,
I'm with it.
I would like to see that. I would have no problem with James Cook getting 70 targets out of the backfield. If he had 54 last year, I'm guessing the majority of those probably came later on in the year. And I think that's where they were starting to go toward, I
Absolutely.
can see that bumping up. I would say at the minimum, at least another 10 targets for Cook on top of that. So say we can get James Cook to like 550, another 100 yards there, right, from him. Kincaid only had 91 targets last year. Diggs getting 160. I'd have to imagine that if that's about 70 more targets, you're going to think Kincaid's going to get at least 120 targets this year. I bet you he gets half of that missing target share that we now have with Diggs. So if he had 673 off of 91, if we get it up to 120, he will probably be hovering in on, what is this? All right, yeah.
Wild.
I thought he was going to say he was going to count every target that James Cook was going to get.
I thought so too. No, I was like, what?
Wow. So I think Kincaid can make up probably 300 of the 600 missing yards there between him and Diggs, right? So that would get him right near 1,000. That would put him in the high nines, right? Shakir had 611 on 40. Rico, Khalil Shakir only had 45 targets last year. James Cook had almost 10 more targets than he did. So you got to think Khalil Shakir is probably going to get bumped up to what? Near 70 from 45?
Bills fan thinks he's going to bump up to about 90.
That would be double. That would be a straight down the middle double.
It makes sense though, because 160 targets went to Stephon Diggs. You're going to have to divvy that up everywhere else. So I
agree with him on the Kincaid. I think 120 for Kincaid is what we're going to see. Shakir 45 and 90. I don't think it's out of the realm, but I think that you got to factor in Curtis Samuel. So I could see Shakir getting in that 70 to 80 range, maybe 90 the more we think about it, but it would be a big, big jump. And then I think that the other 300 yards that you're missing, I think the Gabe Davis numbers, 81 targets for 746. I think Curtis Samuel gets that. I think Curtis Samuel gets to that number of 746 yards, and I could see him getting 70 to 80 targets as well. So you're going through it, and I think that if you see a pretty marginal jump from Dalton Kincaid, which I think we all expect, I think we see a larger target share for James Cook and Khalil Shakir. That'll add yardage. Obviously, Keon Coleman, whatever he brings in.
Yep.
And then Curtis Samuel, I think, can replace the Gabe Davis numbers almost to a T. I don't know how much we're losing, but I guess the question is, are we gaining anything different? Maybe that's the question. I don't know if we're losing a ton, but towards the end of the year last year, you can look at it one of two ways. I liked a lot of what they were doing, but it wasn't anything majorly explosive to the point of me thinking they're going to not only supplement this, which I think is very possible, but I don't know if they're going to outdo it. And I guess that's going to come down to how great Keon Coleman's going to be in year one.
Well, we'll see, because year one is always a tough one. I mean, let's not forget, Kincaid didn't quite get going right off the bat. It took some time for them to implement him into the offense and really start getting comfortable. So you'll see a lot more from Kincaid going into this year. Keon Coleman, on the other hand, I know that Brandon B said, well, we're going to ease him in and he's going to be at the X, but we're not going to, we put a lot of pressure on him, which I like. I hope they don't. But at the end of the day, if you look at all these other teams, I'll use the Kansas City Chiefs as one, there ain't no time to kind of coddle you. You got to get in there and get going. So hopefully these guys can catch fire and get going. But here, Walter does not agree so much. Check out what Walter asks. He says, and I'll let you jump on this one, Z-Watt. Says, I love that fans, since trading Diggs, we've tricked ourselves into this delusion that having a receiver one means you can't spread it around. Funny how spreading the ball around wasn't any issue until Diggs. What say you on that statement from my man Walter?
I don't know if it's necessarily an issue, more so now that it's a requirement, because you just don't have that guy that you would risk not spreading it around for as of right now. But I think it was inevitable that when you have a guy like Diggs, he's going to have the majority of the targets. I mean, look around the league. All the top wide receivers are getting the team's majority targets. So it's not,
as they should.
I don't know, it's not as big of an indictment on Diggs as people want to make it out to be. All of a sudden, Diggs was a ball hog. I mean, it's not like he's the one snapping the ball. Obviously, I think Josh Allen at times, and I think especially towards the end last year, and you know this to be true because how many times did they run a bubble screen for Stephon Diggs that did absolutely nothing? they were trying to incorporate him into the offense in ways that were not related to how he plays football because they were not getting him the ball other ways. So I think that's a great example of how they were trying to force it to him a little bit. But at the end of the day, Diggs was always going to get the majority of the targets because he should have gotten the majority of the targets. Now, it's not as much, oh, Allen had to force the ball to Diggs. Now it's more Allen doesn't have a guy to force the ball to, or at least want to force the ball to if it's up to him. Right. He now has numerous guys that I don't think are separating from one or the other. And I think it's less of a requirement to force the ball to one guy now. That could be a benefit or a disadvantage. It depends on how you look at it. But I think it can be viewed two ways on Diggs, but I think it's more so not having that option now is the reason we're talking about spreading the wealth, more so than I think it is Allen having to force the ball to Diggs because he was being told to or he thought he had to. But I certainly do think there were elements of Josh Allen's game last year that did have that mindset to some degree, and it could be beneficial getting rid of that entirely. But it's more so the Bills not having that true guaranteed target leader on the roster this year that's going to lead to a more spread out target share overall.
So what say you? So we're talking about all these receivers on the squad, and we're talking about how we're going to divvy the statistics and the yardage and the targets and all that good stuff. By the way, shout out to my man Pierre. I put up your poll, and the setup was had. We put it out there, and we're gonna let the people decide. I mean, can there be a receiver, pass catcher that can get 6 for 69, and will that be enough to allow this team to be successful going forward? But that's a question for the chat right now. But what do we say about? I mean, we're talking about receivers, so we might as well get into it. What do we say about the new signing of Chase Claypool? Because right now, the internet is clowning the Bills. I don't know why, first and foremost, but the internet is clowning the Bills because we've signed Chase Claypool in what some folks are saying, y'all are desperate. Y'alling. I don't understand what the problem is. He's had success with the Steelers, the team that he got drafted with. His rookie year, he had a pretty damn good rookie year. He's fallen off since. And if you look at where he was sent to the Chicago Bears with a quarterback that was still trying to find his way in Justin Fields. Justin Fields is no longer in the Chicago Bears. Talk about how you want to. You could say what you want about that situation, whether they felt that he wasn't good enough or whether they felt they just wanted to go in a different direction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then they send him to Miami. Yeah, maybe just the fit wasn't great with Tua. Maybe just there was something up. So now he's I think this is third destination. So third. Could this be the final destination where Josh Allen is so used to just making receivers solid and productive? Could this be the right fit, or are we just grasping at things here? And what are we doing? Why do we bring Chase Claypool? But I don't see the problem with that. Let him battle it out. Let him test out. And if he does well, he does well. If he doesn't, so be it. What does it cost us? He just becomes another part of the competition. But you have people like my man Hambone that says Claypool stinks. The guy just doesn't get it. I feel like he keeps getting signed because he's athletic. Well, there's somebody that's going to find how to use Chase Claypool. He's got the size, he's got the speed, and he's got the success. Right? Who did he play with? How long has he been in the game? First of all,
2020 is when he was drafted.
Who was the Steelers quarterback at that time?
Big Ben was still around
it's been so long.
His best years were with Big Ben, and then it was probably, I don't know,
just look it up.
Pickett in 2022. No, it was Pickett.
Everyone knows Pickett blows. Pickett blows. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't believe in him when they drafted him. I didn't think anything was going to be nice at all either. But here we are. You got thrown to the ball by Ben Roethlisberger, and you had a successful year where we were like, wow, what a steal. The Canadian from Vancouver is really doing his thing. Good for him. And all of a sudden, productivity dips. So 2020 with Ben, he had 62 receptions for 109 targets. He had 873 yards. He had 2 back-to-back 800-yard plus seasons. He had 9 touchdowns his rookie season.
Over 100 targets too.
100 targets. So the quarterback play dipped. So when the quarterback play dipped, obviously, I mean, shoot, what's going to happen? And some people say, hey, it's the quarterback that makes the receiver, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. But let's put it this way. You go to Kenny Pickett, then you go to Justin Fields twice. That didn't work out. And then you go to Miami to Tua. Now, Tua was your best chance to try to, put something together. For whatever reason, that didn't work out. So here is your opportunity, sir, with the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. Joe Brady's got to find a way. And if you can find a way to make this guy make this squad, because really, if you look at your receivers, your top 3 receivers on the squad right now are going to be Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Curtis Samuel. Those are your 3. Those are your 3 locks. The rest are mumbo jumbo right into the mix. So Chase Claypool has every opportunity to push to make the squad as the receiver. One might say Mac Hollins is receiver 4. Let's just say Mac Hollins is receiver 4. Receiver 5 and 6, you got to be able to do special teams, and you got to be able to provide something. He gives you size, he gives you speed, and he gives you experience and success in the league already. Now it's just a matter of, can he get the chemistry down with Josh Allen? I don't see why people are hating on this signing. It's a win-win situation. If he does great, awesome. He's a cheap deal. And if he doesn't, so be it. We allowed everybody else to get better because there's competition in camp. So I like this signing. I know most people are what a bum and this and that and the third. Listen, man, competition is competition. And he's trying to earn a job. He's trying to earn something. So, and this is what Brandon Beane does. Brandon Beane loves to go and get himself someone that had previous success, maybe coming off of an injury, maybe coming off of an unsuccessful year. And he's like a Captain Save-A-Hole type of thing, right? Let me fix you. That's what he's going to try to do. Let me fix you. Let me bring you to the Bills, and let me try to see if we can make something happen. And if he does, and if he hits, Brandon Beane is going to look like a mother effing genius. And if it doesn't work out, we brought him in for a camp. It didn't work out. You're cut. You're done. But at least we got to see who is going to do what. So I'm okay with this, man. I'm okay with this. My man said it's not a win-win situation. It's not a win-win. He's got a bad attitude, and this is the opposite of what we want in our locker room. See, a bad attitude only is going to affect the locker room when we have a whole bunch of guys that just don't care. There's too many guys in this locker room that care.
A bad attitude for a wide receiver 5. No one gives a shit. Who cares? No one's even going to pay attention to it. So
and you're coming to a team that's got a leader in Josh Allen, that's got a leader in Deion Dawkins, that's got plenty of leaders on the squad. Nah, bro, you're not just going to come in and just.
Chase Claypool isn't wrecking the locker room. That isn't going to happen.
I don't even know where that came from. He's got a piss poor attitude.
Well, he does, but it's not because I don't think it's going to be a. Basically, the question is it a bad signing? No, it's not a bad signing because I don't think anytime you bring in a guy at a spot of need, you can determine that as a bad signing. The Bills need players at the position. I mean, simply put. And there's only so many guys to go around right now. That's why I was shocked they didn't take another one in the draft. I would have much rather have taken another guy in the draft to have some upside potential on than I would have getting, Chase Claypool. That's why I don't understand why they didn't take one in rounds 5 through 7, or maybe even earlier when Troy Franklin was on the board, like we discussed earlier. I don't know why that wasn't an emphasis, because clearly it still is an emphasis based on the need. But it's not a bad move because of that. They need guys in there, and Claypool has shown that he can succeed. But the problem is that was going on 5 years ago. He hasn't played a full season since his rookie year. Mm-hmm. And last year in 9 games with Miami, he had 4 catches for 26 yards. I have no expectations whatsoever for Chase Claypool. Mike McDaniel couldn't get him worked into that offense. And I know Tua is not Josh Allen, but if there was going to be opportunity for Chase Claypool to succeed, you would have to imagine it would be in an offense that I think is very well run under Mike McDaniel. These last 3 seasons, Chase Claypool, or 4 seasons even, 8 games, 7 games, 3 games, 9 games.
Yep.
And he hasn't had more than 140 yards in the last 3 years, 1 touchdown in the last 3 years. And it's only gotten worse and worse every single year since his rookie season. And the drop off between his sophomore year and his junior year on has been seismic. Chase Claypool, as it stands right now, it's a name because of the success he had early on with Big Ben in Pittsburgh. But there's a reason why you probably didn't even realize he was a Miami Dolphin last year. One, they had far more talent on the field to, overshadow him even being on the roster. But he had 7 total targets for the Dolphins last year. There was no reason for you to know that Chase Claypool was even on the team. So the way it looks right now, it seems like camp competition to me. Maybe he makes the roster, and if he does, we'll see what happens. But there is no reason to have any level of expectation for him to come and resurrect his career when we've seen 4 consecutive years of him playing less than half the season and him having numbers that just about anybody you throw out there with the target share would have the exact same amount. It's added depth. It's I guess veteran presence, even though it's not necessarily highly valued veteran presence. But once again, this just goes back to my point. I would have rather have seen that camp competition come from a guy who's got, the expectations are unknown coming straight out of the draft, and you have no idea what could be of it, right? We've seen plenty of late round wide receivers become stars in this league. I think the days of Chase Claypool being even remotely a star are far gone. And I think we've seen countless examples over the last handful of seasons to tell you that. So the signing in itself, Rico, I agree with you. It's not a bad move because anytime you bring someone in to compete, and I think Chase Claypool's days are numbered. So maybe that's, a level of motivation Brandon Beane sees could play in their favor.
Sure.
But
That's a good
to
point.
have any expectation of him coming in and doing anything remotely positive for this team over a consistent period of time is pretty much a fool's errand.
Keep this in mind too, right? There's a very big difference with a team when someone joins a team right at mini camp, training camp, all that good stuff. So you're actually able to, get down the offense and go on so on and so forth. He had 9 games with the Dolphins, so he joined mid-season. So I mean, you're trying to grasp a new offense. You're trying to get on the field. You're trying to do a whole lot. So how much are you expecting?
Well, yeah, but he was with the Bears during the same year, and he had 4 catches for 51 yards in that same season.
Right, and guess who your quarterback was? A running quarterback at the time. He only started to get better, near the tail end. But then guess what? They traded him. So right now, it's a big unknown with Justin Fields. It really is. And you got people are saying they're not buying this whole Justin Fields at the end of the season, how he started to really step up. They're not buying it because actually it was your boy Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd took the same statistics he had this past year and the year before, and he's like, they're identical. So what's changed exactly? He just strung a couple good games together to make you to see folks, to make it seem like he's back or he's there.
Who's this?
Now you had. And I'm not trying to even make excuses for Claypool. I'm just saying it's hard to, get something going with a quarterback that most folks were saying, I'm not sure about him. And then now he's not on the team anymore. So go figure. If they really wanted him, trust and believe that, they would have said, no, we're riding with Justin Fields. Whoever we'll trade out the first pick and y'all can have, Caleb Williams. But they're not. We ain't passing on Caleb Williams. He's that much better. Go on and do what you got to do, Justin Fields. And now they're talking about Justin Fields becoming a damn kick returner on the Pittsburgh Steelers, crying out loud.
Isn't that wild?
It is absolute wild. So I'm going to take this with a grain of salt of the success or lack of success he had with the Bears. I'll give him. You joined the Dolphins halfway through the season, so how much can you really do in the half? So this would be a great opportunity. You're playing with an elite quarterback. You're playing with a team that's established, that's on the brink. Let's see how it does. Now, if he doesn't make it, like you said, his days are numbered, and I totally agree with that.
I'm rooting for him. No doubt about it, but it's tough to think. I understand everybody in here right now saying, he could still be this. Now, yeah, he could be. But when you have 4 straight seasons of next to nothing, it would be a major, major testament to Josh Allen's play if he was able to get him involved. I just wonder if he will be given an opportunity to even get involved. I wonder where those opportunities come from, because if he's out on the field, then who isn't?
Well, and this is why I brought up your top receivers. This is why I brought that up. Hold on a sec. My man Pierre says, "Yo, Mac, re-enter with all the cap stakes and events." I don't know what you're talking about, but this is why this is an interesting one, because you got your locks are your first 3. those are your locks. I mean, let me just. I don't want to just talk about it. I can just tell y'all. Those are the competition is gonna be. And don't forget, we got Cephas that we just dropped. We just signed as well. That's gonna be trying to do his big thing. So let me just share my screen real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Let me just close this bad boy up here, and then we'll give you an idea of what I'm referring to. But folks, if you look at our depth chart, because sometimes you have to look at the depth chart to see what we're referring to here. So it's very difficult to see this, but I'll do my best to try to explain to you who we have at receiver. So obviously, you got the big three, Keon Coleman being one of them. You know he is. You drafted in the second round. He's going to contribute. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel. They're your three. Yeah, they actually have Curtis Samuel as slot receiver right now. So maybe he plays the slot, Khalil on the outside. Who knows how that's going to work out? Then you got Mac Hollins, Justin Shorter, Chase Claypool. Next after that is Quintez Cephas. We just signed him. Former Detroit Lion. He was suspended for a year for, I believe, the gambling. You got Bryant Thompson. I'm sure a lot of people are like, who? Andy Isabella. Fat chance to make the squad. You got Xavier Johnson, undrafted free agent. You got KJ Hamler, more likely to be a punt returner, kick returner. And you got Tyrell Shervers that they're going to give a chance to. And then obviously Lawrence Keys. So when you look back at the first six, bro, that could be your six. He could make this squad. People are like, oh, I don't know, he garbage. Well, look at the rest of the squad, bro. And then you got your tight ends in.
He definitely could make the. It wouldn't shock me if he made it.
For sure. How would you not say that he's not going to make the squad? He absolutely can make the squad. But people talking about, oh, he garbage, he this, he that. Well, guess what? Mr. Garbage could make the squad if you look at what the hell we have on the squad right now. And that's why I get why you're upset. You're like, why didn't we double dip at receiver? We should have double dipped. Forget about that damn defense, and we should have double dipped and called it a day. But
I just like my chances of getting more out of a guy that's unknown and you see what he's got as opposed to a guy who's given you 4 straight years of next to nothing who can't complete a full season. I just think that at this point, we're pretty much we're sitting here talking about Chase Claypool making the Bills roster. That's what we're sitting here talking about, right?
It is what it is. At the
end of the day, that is, yeah, exactly. It is what it is. It's where the Bills are at. So when you're at that spot, I'd much rather have that spot be allocated to a guy that I could have a snowball's chance in hell, at least the chance, though, of being Stephon Diggs, Puka Nacua, these late round guys you had no idea, you never saw them coming, and there they are, as opposed to
absolutely
Chase Claypool is going to resurrect his rookie season in Buffalo after 4 straight years of pretty much being on a milk carton. But to your point, I have no reason to think that he can't make the team based on what's currently on there.
Let it play out. And we talk about this all the time. Hold on. My man Silas just came in and says, yo, Claypool is not making the 53. I'm taking bets on this. He has a bad attitude and bad hands. Bro,
let's address that attitude thing real quick. If it's really that bad, he's gone. Like he's gone. And if it was really, really that bad, I don't even think Bean makes an attempt. I think that if you're Claypool, think about it. And I know it's kind of it's an example that is a one-off, but it is an example. I don't think anybody had a worse attitude in the league than Baker Mayfield. And as soon as it was pretty evident that his career was on the ropes, who has done a 180 more in regard to their overall demeanor, the way they approach the podium, the way they approach their game, the team, than Baker Mayfield? It was because his career was on the ropes. It was either get it in gear now, or you're going to be a backup quarterback at best in this league for the next decade. And he did exactly what he had to do to really put himself in a great spot for the future of his career. So Chase Claypool is facing a similar situation now in regard to the attitude. If it's really that bad, dude, I mean, you're going to be at home scrolling on LinkedIn before you know it.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to come to Buffalo and have that mentality, especially after Bean's taking a flyer on you here, then that's on you and you're done. So I'm guessing Bean looks at it and says, this guy has a lot to fight for here, and maybe that can work out in both of our favors. If it's really that bad, for starters, you have to consider the fact that it was bad at the end of Pittsburgh, and it was bad in Chicago because, one, Chicago had one of the worst offenses in the league with Justin Fields, and two, towards the end of his Pittsburgh tenure, he was catching balls from Trubisky and Duck Hodgins and who the hell else knows. I couldn't even tell you. So maybe that attributes to it. I think you're going to have a better attitude when you're in a better spot. And this ultimately could be related back to the Curtis Samuel situation when it comes to the poor quarterback play. Curtis Samuel has had great stat lines in comparison to who he has played with. That's why I'm so bullish on Curtis Samuel. I know people out there, including myself, don't view him as a guy you want to roll into the season with being your top guy. And we're hoping that he's not, or that he has to be. But I'm bullish in the sense that the guy has put up pretty damn good stats with some of the worst quarterback play in the league over the last couple of seasons. And I think he succeeds. Maybe that happens with Claypool, but I just think that when it comes to the ability to do it, I don't know if he has it in the tank as much as I've seen it with Curtis Samuel. But to the attitude standpoint, though, Rico, I think that he's got too much to lose here. And I also think that it's so irrelevant. His attitude is so irrelevant to this locker room. If it really ends up being an issue at all, you're not going to hear from him again.
Absolutely. And the thing is, here's the thing. There's people that you want to talk about bad attitude. It's got like AB, right? Antonio Brown, bad attitude. That's what you call a bad attitude. You know you're skillful, but you take your jersey off and you're doing this, and when you get kicked out the field, that's a terrible attitude. You know it. That's why he ain't playing in the league right now. I don't think it's as bad as what people are saying. Now, the reason that people are saying he's got bad attitude, it's coming from an actual teammate, and it came from teammate Darnell Mooney, which now plays for the Atlanta Falcons. But there was a quote, and let me just pull up the quote here. There was a quote in him saying, Claypool has a reputation for being a hothead. To quote fellow wide receiver Darnell Mooney, since arriving last November, the Notre Dame product has aired his frustrations with the Bears offense several times. Who wouldn't? That offense was putrid, right? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. He's had multiple sideline blowups as the Bears offense sputtered, including numerous tirades directed at offense coordinator Luke Getsy. So that was, and I don't even think, is Luke Getsy still the coordinator now, or was he let go? I'm not sure if he is. But anyway, the point is this. You're right in saying that was then, this is now. He knows it was at stake. There's a reputation that I apparently have, that I have a bad attitude. Sometimes bad attitudes, and the same thing can be said about Stephon Diggs. Some folks might say he had a bad attitude, and then some folks might turn around and say he's passionate. So there's a fine line between passion and bad attitude, and Stephon Diggs, to some Bills fans, told that line of they felt that he had a bad attitude, or was it passion? So was Claypool displaying passion, or was it really a bad attitude? Who knows? And when you're not doing well and the offense is sputtering and you're losing, yeah, some feelings are going to come out. So who knows? New opportunity, new scenario, new quarterback, new team, new regime, new everything could change a lot of things. And when you're winning, things are great. So and we seem to be on the path of winning, and we continue to win. So we'll see. So Chase Claypool being so bold, my man Silas, saying that he's not going to make that 53-man roster is bold, because if you look at what we got on the squad, I mean, it's not saying a whole lot. It's not saying a whole lot at the receiver. Once you're past receiver 4 or at receiver 4, it's a crapshoot. Anybody can make the squad at that point, at the end of the day. And don't forget, there's going to be guys that get cut and so on and so forth. So we'll see how that all plays out. I got another super chat coming in from my man BJ Bills. He says, yo, guess we getting receivers with the contested catches? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's all got to play into the hands of these receivers and how they gel with Josh Allen. Silas came back with a comment, says he couldn't get right with Pittsburgh, Chicago, or in fun-loving team player-friendly Miami. He is not a good receiver. He's a camp body, nothing more.
That's what I think he is too, but I don't think that means he can't make the roster based on what they have right now.
Absolutely,
but he's not. Nothing else he's saying is wrong. I agree.
I mean, listen, isn't everybody a camp body after receiver 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12?
I mean, that's what he is. That's what he is. Yeah, exactly. This is what he's being brought in for. I don't think it says anything about his play one way or the other if he makes it.
My man Pierre says, yo, Shakir is the top guy bot.
And Pierre is
that now, big fella.
He is married. Yeah.
Who do you think becomes?
Did Pierre at least buy a Shakir jersey yet? I mean, he has got to be his number one fan on the planet.
I don't even know who Pierre's favorite player on the team is. Now that, I mean, who's your favorite player on the team? Is it Josh Allen?
From an overall personality standpoint, it's Deion Dawkins.
Oh, Deion's your favorite player?
Probably.
Overall, I'm talking about the guy you root for. You love this guy. He's the dog on the field. Like overall, your favorite player.
Oh, Matt Milano.
Oh, Milano.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
I've never seen a player be so overlooked and so talented at the same time. He to me is like exactly what I think of when I think of a great football player. A guy that just puts his head down and plays 110 miles an hour of his best football every single snap and doesn't ask for anything in return over. And he finally got the All-Pro nod 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
I just think Matt Milano to me is like, if I were to make a football player in a lab, it would be him. I mean, obviously Josh Allen is the answer there. There's no other answer. But as far as like my guy that I've always loved, Matt Milano.
Matt Milano. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. The one thing that I'm very much interested in seeing develop is the amount of linebackers that we've brought to this team. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're paying attention, my man Z-Bot, but we have made some moves. We signed former Atlanta Falcons linebacker / safety. He's a tweener. He's between a safety and a linebacker, and he was one of the better players in the league several years ago. I mean, he was a coveted guy. We have now signed Deion Jones to a 1-year deal via Mr. Adam Schefter. Details are not out on the contract just yet, but if you look at what we have at linebacker right now, so you've got obviously Matt Milano, you've got Terrell Bernard. Don't forget we brought in Nicholas Morrow from the Eagles, which is a great pickup. That was a solid pickup. He's going to be one guy that, I mean, he was a team captain on the squad, so that's a lock. We lost Tyrell Dotson. We already know what time it is with that. AJ Klein gone. Obviously, he was on the couch. He can go back to doing vacation stuff with his family. Then we got Dorian Williams. You got Balin Spector, and now you got Deion Jones. I think I'm missing one more linebacker. But bro, it feels as though two things are. I'm looking at this situation, and I want to know what the chat feels about this as well. And those that are viewing on YouTube, by the way, shout out to my YouTube folks, our YouTube folks. And shout out to Twitter, X family. What's up? Smash that like, retweet, all that good stuff. Are we worried in a way that Milano is not quite 100% to return?
Yeah, I've been reading this on the signing.
Or is this just precautionary? I don't want to go and try to sign an AJ Klein again. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
that was not on my bingo card to have AJ Klein back on the squad. So I'm making sure that I load up with some good, talented players that have experience in the game. Deion Jones, Nicholas Morrow, and then we've got some developmental pieces in Dorian Williams and Balin Spector. To me, there's your crew right there. But forgot. Thank you very much. And we just signed sixth round linebacker in Eddie Ulufosio. So holy crap, and that's not a scrub either. He's a good player. Are we anticipating that it's going to take a little longer for Matt Milano to get back onto the field? Is he in jeopardy to play again, or not even play again, just to play at a high level again? And they're not sure. I'm curious as to the amount of linebacker signings that we've done, or is this precautionary? We just don't want to be in the position where we're like, holy crap, let's see if AJ Klein's available.
Yeah, I think that
I'm on a walker. What the hell y'all want with me, right? Talk to me. What you think?
That's the answer. You had he was covering Travis Kelce in the biggest game of the year last year, packing up for a vacation. Why would you not want to load up at depth in a position that got ravished towards the end of the year last year? I mean, starting linebacking core, Matt Milano and Bernard might be up there with some of the best in the league. I mean, at the beginning of the year, that was why it was such a damn tragedy when Milano went down. The first 4 weeks, Rico, they were playing some of the best ball in the league. That's why it was such a tragedy. But Milano's health has always been a concern. And now you had Bernard go down at the end of the year as well, and they had a rotation of injuries on that defense. I don't think you can have enough depth back there, especially when you got a veteran presence and a guy coming into his 9th year. He has played 10 or more games in the majority of all of those seasons. It's not like you're looking at this. I don't know why everybody's looking at this and saying, oh, this is an indictment on Milano. I mean, I think it's an indictment on how the season ended last year. How many times have we gotten into it on here last year or throughout the last year here about the defense being the reason the Bills lost last year? Well, it was because of the defensive injuries and why they were as bad as they were. And if you have guys that are going to be able to supplement that, should it happen again, as opposed to AJ Klein, who's getting ready to go and take the kayak out with the kids the week before the biggest game of the year, I'm fine with it. I don't read into this as anything pertaining to Matt Milano's health. I look at it more as I have guys young and old now that I can rely on should we run into what we ran into last year, which was a major Achilles heel for this team. As we know, very well could have been the primary reason they wound up losing that game, because the Chiefs could do whatever they wanted to do on offense in that game. And we saw that they had struggled throughout the year offensively, especially towards the end. I mean, they had their struggles throughout the year, really, being the Chiefs that we have known, and they were doing whatever they wanted in the secondary. Travis Kelce had a pretty damn major dip towards the end of the year last year in comparison to how we view him, and he resurrected the vintage Travis Kelce against the YMCA crew, as I like to say, that was trying to cover him in that divisional playoff game. So the way I see this is it's nothing more than adding depth at a spot that has been unfortunately ravished with injuries. And it could, again, I mean, the one biggest issue with Milano is that the only thing you can really point out towards Milano is a dislike in his game is his inability to stay healthy. So you now have a rookie coming in, a fifth rounder, and you have a veteran guy coming into his ninth season that'll be able to fill the void there, as opposed to having to make a phone call to a guy that was sitting at home the week before the divisional round. That's how I see it. I don't think it's anything against Matt Milano's health status at this point.
I want to pivot just a little bit, my man Z-Bot, and I want your thoughts on this. I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but Pat Mahomes was chatting on the Logan Paul podcast called Impulsive. I'm not sure if you've seen this clip at all.
I have not.
Oh, this is perfect, because I'll be playing this clip for you in just a moment. But that being said, he was asked a question about rivalries and how he feels about certain teams. And lo and behold, the Buffalo Bills came up. And let me play a clip for y'all that may have not seen this clip. And I want to see what your thoughts are on how this how you feel about this clip and what it makes you feel about the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. All right. I had one person say, God, I hate when players become like guys that you're supposed to hate become likable. So I don't know if this becomes likable, but let me know how you feel about this clip here about the play. I just want to make sure it's there. Okay, perfect. It is. So check this out.
Right. But like Mike just mentioned, you obviously in Kansas City, you're so loved, right? But like Mike just mentioned, you've beat and like made terrific plays, like never forgettable plays against people's favorite teams to like win Super Bowls. Do you believe you've lived long enough to see yourself become the villain?
This year definitely was a more villain type role for I think the whole team. I don't think I really realized it. Like I had heard people like talking, and like obviously social media, there's people always talking. So I didn't know how real it was until I got to Buffalo this year. I think I saw 40,000 middle fingers on the way into the stadium. Yeah, they were. I mean, they were ready.
Come on.
They were ready to go. And then we go out there and win. I'm trying to hand my headband and sleeve off to a kid, and they're just snowballs are just flying at me. I'm just like, dude, these people really don't like me. Like it's not fake at all. And so I think they have a great fan base. I mean, we have a healthy, respectful rivalry, I think, with the Bills, and the fan base just they want to beat us.
Have you ever noticed it's mostly the East Coast where all of that craziness kind of happens?
You didn't go to the Oakland Raiders.
So your thoughts on Pat Mahomes speaking on a healthy rivalry, but knowing that he is the villain. So what that clip was like, dude, because the caption was something to the nature of like, when did you realize that you were not liked and you were actually a villain? He's like, you want to know when I found out? The playoff game this past year against the Bills. That's when I knew, they don't like me. I am a villain. And sometimes people embrace the villain status. And I think that he is going to harness all the hate, especially from Bills fans, NFL fans around the league, and they're going to push heavy to get that third Super Bowl, the three-peat that's never been done in the NFL. He's going to try to push for it. So when you see a clip like this, are you more like, man, I want to whoop that boy's ass real bad? Because that's how I feel. We need to stop this whole three-peat business. And it just can't be in the regular season. It's got to be when it counts. When it counts in the playoffs. What say you on that clip, just listening to my man speak?
I'll never forget the moment I watched those snowballs rain down on him because I was still just numb from watching Tyler Bass miss the kick.
Oh, my God.
And then I'm watching him and I'm watching those snowballs pour down. And that's when it clicked to me. Funny enough, when it clicked to him that he was hated, which, by the way, I don't know how he couldn't have realized it sooner. How do you realize that everybody wants you? I mean, I don't even know how can you not realize it? You have been that guy since Brady retired, essentially. But I watched him give whoever he was giving the wristband to or whatever, those snowballs came down. And it wasn't the snowballs coming down. It was him, Rico. He didn't mention this. While the snowballs were raining down, he skipped off the field with an ear-to-ear grin. He skipped off the field. He frolicked like a kid on the playground off the field with a wide-ass grin.
As he should.
As he should. I watched that clip. It doesn't do anything for me. For starters, I'm the first to say it. There's nothing to hate about the guy. I hate him because he beats us. There's nothing unlikable about the guy. Absolutely nothing. You might not like his wife or his brother or whoever. It's got nothing to do with him.
He loves ketchup. One of those two.
There's really nothing to not like about him. I mean, it's unbelievable. The only reason I hate him is because he is that villain to us. He is that villain to us. And he's a villain to a lot of other people outside of the Bills. He's a villain to the San Francisco 49ers. He's a villain to the entire AFC. I mean, let's face it. And I mean, let's be honest. Is he not the villain of the entire league? That's what he is. And I watched that clip and it just reemphasizes what I already know. And that's that one, he's likable because he's willing to say that stuff and he's willing to give the credit, right? Great fan base, healthy, respectable rivalry, whatever. But it doesn't shift me one way or the other because I don't think I could dislike the guy anymore from a fan base standpoint than I already do. There's nothing that's going to change that until the demons are exercised.
Right.
The guy is probably the most likable superstar you could imagine. If the NFL were to handcraft the face of the league, it would be Patrick Mahomes from every angle. He's marketable. He's, the ability to go and play the way he does is unlike anything we've really seen, not only from the talent level, but of course from the success level. Everything about him is what you'd want. And the league has that going for him right now. But from the villain standpoint or whatever, the only thing that really shocked me in that situation is how do you not realize until leaving the divisional round of the 2024 playoffs that you are the villain of this league? That's what probably shocked me the most right there, because he's been the villain of this league probably for the last 5 years in a row, and I don't really know if there's a comparable second.
Especially to the Bills. And here's the thing, and this is a beef that I had with you a little bit. Not so much a lot with you, but you were the leader of this campaign of the non-trade to the Kansas City, or the trade to Kansas City, and how you hated it because it was Kansas City. And it came down to this for me. We are so worried about what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing. It makes us look like we are so fearful of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yet, every time we play the Kansas City Chiefs, we play them right till the freaking end. Either we win in regular season or they're winning just by a little margin. The only time they really took us was the first year when we played them in the AFC Championship game, where they took us and we weren't ready for that. Ever since then, we've always played them tough. There's nothing to fear. We just haven't been able to just knock them over. But when we hear that players are like, oh, I can't believe we let them get Worthy, or I can't believe we traded with them, we should never play with them. I don't give two shits of what these guys do, because we are good enough to beat them. It's come time where we missed a freaking field goal, right? That changes everything. That's number one. 13 seconds. And then that AFC Championship game where we just got beat. But regular season, we got their number 2. So we're so freaking close. It's just a matter of putting it all together. We as Bills fans cannot be fearful of these Kansas City Chiefs. We play them neck and neck every single time. Because
I think both things are true. I think I agree with both of those things. All right. I agree The Bills, from a on the field standpoint, have been just as good as the Chiefs. The reason nobody cares about that, or the reason that everybody fears the Chiefs, is because they haven't been as good as them for a full duration of a playoff football game in order to beat them. But you go from the regular season, the Bills have a winning record against the Chiefs in the regular season, a winning record in Arrowhead against the Chiefs in the regular season.
Crazy.
It is true. It is fair to say that the Bills out on the field from a talent perspective, from a competitive perspective, are just as good as the Kansas City Chiefs and have oftentimes been better. But in the biggest moments, like you just kind of poo-pooed a missed field goal here or, this element here. But those are the biggest difference. That's why you can't just overlook them, because those have been the biggest aspects of this rivalry that have all went in favor of the Chiefs. Now, it's a fearfulness because it's justified, Rico. They have ended the Bills season 3 times in the prime of Josh Allen's career and potentially ended what I think to be their best chance to win a Super Bowl. They ended it in a 13-second time span. That was, to me, the Bills' best opportunity thus far to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs ended it. And last year, I don't know who knows. I don't think anybody was good enough last year to be the clear-cut favorite to win the whole thing. And if the Bills do get past them last year, which they certainly had the opportunity to do, we don't know what happens then either. The fear comes from exactly what you just mentioned. The fear is that one more play or that one more thing is going to happen. And usually it always does. And it's not just the Bills. There are so many teams that are fearful of this. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers are fearful of this. The Ravens have to be fearful of this. I don't know how anybody in the NFL really couldn't be fearful of it, because they've done it at a rate that I don't think we've ever seen before outside of course, the New England Patriots. They do these little things mixed in with you got to have some luck in there as well. All great teams had luck on their side. Certainly the New England Patriots did multiple times. All great teams have to have luck on their side, but they have to be able to capitalize on it. The Chiefs have capitalized on it every single opportunity that's been given to them. This is why I worry about what the Chiefs do when we're talking about that trade with the Bills, for instance, right? Yep. Because it's not that they're any worse than them, Rico. It's that I don't want to give them an opportunity to be a little bit better than us on our dime. This is why I wanted to make a big move in the draft or make a big move in the offseason, because if we're just going based on history here, the Bills have been just as good, but they haven't had that one little piece more that the Chiefs have always had. And that's why I want to do everything I can to avoid giving the Chiefs that one more piece. Because say Worthy is that one more piece on that 4th down against the Bills in a late game. He's that one more piece that gets them over the hump against the Bills yet again. That's why I hate that idea of it. And then also the Bills not going and getting another receiver in the draft, or maybe not going and getting the big guy. That's that one more thing the Bills didn't do to even the playing field out. So the reason why everybody's worried about it, Rico, I get what you're saying. I think from your perspective, though, it's more an annoyance with it than it is necessarily a denial of it, because I think it's all justified. How could you not be fearful of the Grim Reaper? The Chiefs have been Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills Grim Reaper throughout the Mahomes era here. And it's hard to not be scared of the ghost in the closet until you go and confront that freaking ghost, suck him up with the Ghostbuster vacuum or whatever, and annihilate him. The Bills haven't done that yet. So that fear is going to linger until those demons are exercised.
How do you feel with Walter in this comment here? And I think Walter's more coming from me, but maybe not. He says, we weren't fearful.
That's a good point.
When we didn't allow Diggs to the Chiefs. I'm fine with it if that's the position they take, but be consistent. We weren't consistent when we traded with the Chiefs. I think there's and it's a solid point, but it's very different. It's very different.
It is.
It's very different.
I think the mindset is we're not working with the Chiefs on it. I know it is very different because Diggs compared to a rookie.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. No question about it. But I think that the principle was there. This is what confused me, because I'm glad he's bringing this up, because we didn't even talk about this that night, and it further adds to my overall mindset on this. The principle was there, Rico, right? Because they sent him to Houston. Houston's roster right now is way better than Kansas City's. So it's not like there wasn't the ability to send him to a good team or a competitor, because the Texans are going to be competing with the Bills all year, and they play the Bills this year.
Yep.
Very easily could see them in the playoffs. And we know the Houston Texans bounced the Bills out of the playoffs, Josh Allen's first year in the playoffs. So it's not like Bean wasn't he was avoiding giving him to a contender. He was deliberately avoiding giving him to the Chiefs. I think that factors in, but you're dead right. It is a different circumstance, but it was a circumstance in that situation. And it makes you wonder why, what the variables are there to say, we'll do it here, but not there.
And here's another thing too, right? It's business. Are you going to trade with the Kansas City Chiefs where you know that they contend every single year, and whatever trade you're going to get, it's going to be a bottom tier trade with the Houston Texans? Second year player CJ Stroud, I doubt he's going to have his failures, but you never know. Second year player, I mean, the sophomore drought, you just never know. And you're not trading him to the team that continuously beats you every year. That's just a business move that you just don't want to make. But being fearful, I don't think it was a fear in trading him to it. It's also I think it was a petty move as well. Oh yeah, you can seek a trade, just not here. I don't care. You could go there if you want to afterwards, but we are not going to facilitate that for you anywhere else but there. Was it done out of fear? No, I think it was more done out of, you're not just going to dictate where you get to go. Not this way, and not to the Chiefs.
I disagree. I think it's out of fear. You don't think that it would be fearful to send Stephon Diggs to Mahomes, the team that all we know, or all he's wanted to do since he was with the Bills, is beat the Chiefs. You don't think there would be an element of fear involved in sending him to the team that they couldn't beat just for him to be the factor in beating the Bills? Should it come around? There's got to be some fear baked in there.
I think it was more business and smart than fear per se. I don't think so, because I mean, at the end of the day, you know who you got, and setting Diggs there is going to be dangerous no matter how you want to look at it. Sending him to the Texans is, like you just said, is just as dangerous. So, like, are you going to fear the Texans? No, you're not going to fear the Texans.
That's also what kind of confused me about it. I was shocked that it was the Texans. I still am.
So was I.
I just thought
I was like, what?
It would be an NFC team. That's what I thought.
For sure. Like, trading him was one thing. Okay. But then trading him to the Texans? Gosh. Like, you kidding me? I mean, I get it. Don't trade him in the division. Fine. Trading him to your most hated rival, I get it. I think that's just an ethics thing and not a fearful thing, but like, you just don't do that. This is something you just don't do. You can go anywhere else. Maybe who knows how that all played out, but he's neither here nor there. And my man Pierre just said it right. Ain't nobody scared of Diggs. I mean, watch what you asked for, bro. Watch what you asked for. There was something that was put out on the net. Oh, you know what? Breaking news. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Z-Bot. They have just fired Michael Irvin from NFL Network.
There's a lot of changes going on. They just shaked up the whole CBS NFL Today roster as well. They got rid of Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms. A lot of changes.
Phil Simms is kind of like whatever. Boomer Esiason, I like Boomer. Boomer was cool, but I mean, long overdue. But this one's an odd one because he is an entertainer. He's great at what he does. I think that whole hotel situation, which he got cleared from,
I know,
lingering over top of him, and the nerve that they let this brother go. Oh, can't believe it. I'm actually shocked by that.
Yeah, usually you don't let former Cowboys go unless they walk themselves. You never see that.
Odd one. I didn't see this one coming, but Michael Irvin being let go is, I mean, there are some changes happening everywhere, so it doesn't surprise me. But I mean, here it is. Michael Irvin let go from NFL Network, 20 plus years, working somewhere for 20 years. And they say, peace.
Well, Phil Simms was with CBS for at least 20 years. He used to be the color guy with Nance before Romo took over. But I guess they're going to be shuffling the deck over there.
I bet.
I'm thinking Jason Kelsey is going to be working there at some point. I think that's right. They did bring Jason Kelsey. I think that's going to happen. And then the other thing that's going to be interesting, Rico, you know what's supposed to happen this year? Tom Brady's supposed to be in the booth with Kevin Burkhardt.
Tommy, the one guy that we at one point hated.
I'm dying to see how that is
because he's charismatic. He's got character. He's one that I think people are going to like a lot. But I mean, we think that about Tony Romo. At least that's why I feel. I like Tony Romo. Tony Romo has grown. I think some people are tired of Tony Romo now. I still am a fan of Tony Romo. But will he have success? That's the big question. Will he have success going forward? I mean, it's Tom Brady, man. So he's going to. It's going to be interesting. And everybody's been glued to their set on thinking how that plays out. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure if we're talking about fear. Let me know how you feel about this duo coming to your stadium.
Oh my God! Can you name a more perfect fit?
What do you think? You think it's a great fit over there, or what?
It's a perfect fit. OBJ in Miami, color me shocked. It's perfect for them. Just one more. It's just such a Miami move. It's such a Miami move to me. I mean,
it's been in the works.
Whatever.
It's been in the works. They've been trying to work this thing out. Miami now gets Waddle. I mean, that's a good, because they needed. My man Kevin was talking about they needed a third receiver, right? They had Cedric Wilson. Cedric Wilson's no longer on the squad. They got Malik Washington out of the.
They just lost Chase Claypool. Got to fill that void.
Yeah, they lost Chase Claypool. So in comes OBJ alongside Tyreek Hill, alongside Jalen Waddle with Malik Washington. I mean, that's not a bad looking crew. So that's 1 year, $3 million deal, by the way. 1 year, $3 million deal.
I want to open maybe this up for a debate, because I want to know maybe who your answer is. I think OBJ might be one of the most overrated players in the history of the game. Ever.
Overrated?
Yes.
Why? Where'd you get that?
Ever. I never. Yes.
Oh, you gonna explain yourself, brother.
I think if it weren't for that catch on Sunday Night Football with the Giants, I don't know if
more respect than that.
Rico, I'm telling you, I think if that doesn't happen, he became an A-list celebrity because of that catch. That catch became it almost became the NFL's Jumpman logo. That's what it became. And it was probably the greatest catch I've ever seen and will ever see. In the beginning, OBJ was a hell of a receiver, no doubt about it. But I think that he's been touted up over his career as somebody that he never was. And it's not that he wasn't a good player. OBJ was certainly a hell of a receiver, but I think that he has been put up there in the pantheon of this generation's this generation's top receivers. And I just never saw it. I never saw it.
You can't disrespect Odell. Listen, rookie season, he comes in.
Oh yeah, it was phenomenal.
13. You can't call him overrated. 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. The next year, 1,450, 13 touchdowns. 1,367, 10 touchdowns. He gets hurt, right? Hasn't been the same since. Then he comes back, 1,000 yards with the Giants, right? 6 touchdowns. Now he's falling on a favor. It's not working out. He goes to Cleveland. He had a gruesome injury, comes back, 1,000 yards, then gets hurt again. You got to give him his credit, man. Like, he's come back from gruesome injuries. How do you call him overrated? That's crazy to me.
I think overrated in the sense of, the best way to put it would be overrated in the sense that I think if that catch doesn't happen, we never look at him the way that we look at him. And it doesn't mean he's not a great receiver. I mean, look at those numbers. There's no denying it. One of the best starts to a career, certainly. Mm-hmm. But I just think that if it weren't for that moment, and you can't discredit it, it did happen, but if it weren't for that moment, I don't know if we'll look back on him the way that we probably do. And I think that bought him a lot of favor throughout the duration of his career here. That has obviously been a far cry from what it was in the beginning.
So I get what you're saying. So could the same thing be said about, and I'm not saying Josh Allen's overrated whatsoever, because he's not. He's a dog. He's that guy. But at one point, Odell was one of the best receivers in the game, in the league. So would you say that the hurdle in the Vikings game put Josh Allen on the map, because holy crap, a white guy that's that athletic hopping over a linebacker and Anthony Barr, that's crazy. Map, right? Every athlete has that moment, right? Jordan with a tongue out, going up, putting the hoop up. I mean, everybody's got their moment that makes them stand out, and then now you got to build on your resume. So I can't rock with you with Odell being overrated. If he's not injured, he's still one of the top receivers in the game. That injury took him out, and it made him not the same receiver. That catch definitely put him on the map.
Overrated. Maybe that's not the right word in terms of how we view the term overrated, but I think it's more of overglorified potentially, where I think that we might have propped him up far more than. Okay. Like I guess I think that it has certainly curried him a lot of favor over the last half decade here, based on the notoriety in which he brings because of that play. But it's not necessary. I think when you say that, people think, "Oh, you don't think he's good." I'm not saying that at all.
Oh, I know that.
I've always felt that just that one play, it doubled down on what he was. I think it overemphasized his play in a way that I don't think has been representative of that type of, gameplay that he brought to the table ever since. The beginning of his career was absolutely phenomenal. I just think that if it wasn't for the catch, not like signings like him going to Baltimore, him going to Cleveland, or him going to Miami today, I don't think you're as excited about it if it weren't for that, I guess is what I'm saying.
I will say this. He was on his way to becoming MVP of that MVP of that Super Bowl. He would have been Super Bowl MVP had he not got hurt. Odell would have a big time long contract, probably still be with the Rams, or he's on another team if he didn't get hurt, because he was on his way back to being OBJ. But I don't disagree. That catch, sometimes it takes a moment to not, and perfect is overhype. If you say that catch really, really propelled him to be like, okay, hold on now. But sometimes you need those. Okay, hold on now. Who is this guy? Is he really as good as you think he is?
Yeah, that's why you can't take it away from him. I mean, it is what he is. Yeah, and maybe that also factors into my mindset of it, because when you have a play like that that's so iconic, I feel like you set a level of expectation that maybe you can't live up to. I think that's kind of what factors into it to me to some degree, because once you do that, that's going to be you, right? So that's what's happened here. I think that's why he's always going to be desired by some team because of that. But at the end of the day, it did happen. And that to me is what solidified him as one of the bigger names in football. Like, I guess I have to rework what I'm saying here, because
we get it. You're doing good. You're doing great.
No, because overrated though, I hate that word, because it screams like you don't think a guy.
What it's saying is he's not as good as everybody thinks he is. He is good.
I guess the better question would be, would OBJ be looked at the way he is if it weren't for that moment? Would he constantly be a team that would be desired in a free agent situation like this? When you just looked at that lineup, isn't the first thing you think of when you look at OBJ with Waddle and Hill, isn't the first thing you think of that? It's not the yards, right? It's not. To me, I look at him and I just think that.
It's interesting because every time I look at OBJ, I think of, man, he was cooking in that Super Bowl. And had that boy not got hurt, he would have been a problem. It would have been him, Cooper Kupp, reigning terror all over the NFC. That's what I think of. The OBJ catch, don't get me wrong, it was so long ago that I'm kind of, I remember that catch. But I don't think of OBJ like that. I'm like past that, because I think of, okay, what has he done afterwards? But it does. Listen, I like OBJ. I think he had a fantastic career. It just sucks. The injuries have really taken him for a loop. But I get what you're saying. Sometimes they prop him up. That catch really propped him up and sent him. But sometimes those plays need to happen. I'm trying to think of somebody else that's had that one play or that one moment where that moment took this player to another level. And everyone's like,
you know what? One of them could be Jadeveon Clowney's hit in college against Michigan.
You know what? You want to talk about overrated? That might be
one.
There's your overrated. Right? Because that really propelled it. That play was something else. Really something else.
Back to what you were saying about the Allen thing, though, with the hurdle.
Yeah.
I don't think that that hasn't defined the game. Like, I don't think, maybe just because we're Bills fans, when I think of Allen, I don't think of that. But what I do remember from that play is that was the first, because not only did he do that in that game, they won that game. 17-point underdogs.
Yep.
It was one of the biggest upsets in NFL history.
I won't forget that. You'll never forget that moment. That's the one moment I think everybody's going to remember when you think of Josh Allen. and you look back at his career, and you're like, ooh, that hurdle against Minnesota. Remember that?
The
And they won
reason
that game?
why, to me,
Yeah.
it was the first moment we saw what Brandon Beane saw in regard to the boomer bust athleticism. Where if you could harness this in and he can dial it in and grow, he could be one of the greats. We didn't know that would happen at the time, but that was the first moment you saw from him where you're like, this guy's different. This guy has the ability to do things we haven't seen before. And the thing is, Rico, with him, that wasn't the first we saw. That wasn't the last time we saw that. I mean, we've seen numerous variations of that. I mean, I can think of off the top of my head 5-6 plays from Allen minimum that are almost the equivalent of that in regard to the idea that I don't think I've ever seen another quarterback make that play.
Allen's got some memorable moments. He definitely has some memorable moments.
Like
And
that moment against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day, where he
great moment.
it, fumbled it, recovered his own fumble, and then jumped over the entire line, and then did that iconic, like he freaked out afterwards. I've never seen anybody else do that before. And I think that he built on that. Like you saw something that no one's done before, and he's done it again and again and again.
Let me ask you a question. If I were to ask you Josh Allen's best throw that you remember, that your most memorable throw, you're like, when he made that throw, I was like,
I got it already.
Which is it?
Either his rookie year or his sophomore year against the Jacksonville Jaguars to John Brown in a regular season game. Let's see if we can find it right now.
Okay. I like this.
It was maybe not only the greatest throw he's made, it might have been, because I was at that game, it may have been the greatest throw I've ever seen in my entire life. I got to find this right now. I have got to find this right now. And it's such an obscure one. Like it's not like it wasn't in a big game or whatever. But I got to find this.
So as you find this, I'll explain and this goes to the chat as well. The chat right now, if you were to pinpoint the one play that stands out to you that Josh Allen, I wouldn't say play. You can use play if you want to, but the one pass that Josh Allen made that you're like, I'll always remember that pass was something else. It was in a pivotal moment, crucial moment, was clutch, was all that stuff. Which one stands out to you as the most impressive? I've got two in my mind. One of them was his rookie year in preseason. I remember this clear as day. All right. And the other one was that Thanksgiving game to Cole Beasley. When he made that throw to Cole Beasley, I was like, what a throw, what a catch, what a everything. I was on it. So everybody in the chat, let me know which moment was yours. As Zbot searches for his best pass to the pass that best encapsulates the moment for him.
I got it. Oh my God. I can't even. You know what? It wasn't John. No, it wasn't John Brown though. Who was this? Let me see. That's where I was wrong. I kept searching John Brown. It wasn't John Brown.
Because I'm trying to think, who was it that you were talking about?
I got to see here. It was dude. It was Robert Foster
against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, dude. This is like the most.
When he gets hit,
yes,
fires it up,
dude. Just. I don't even know how the ball got out of his hands, much less 60 yards down the field.
I'll give that to you.
Here we go. I don't know why I thought it was John Brown. Maybe 16 and 15.
This was second year Josh Allen, or was it first year? I think it was second year Josh.
I believe it was second.
Well, yeah, climbs up the.
Are you, dude? He's on a half a. You can't even see his body. Watch this. You can, Rico. Do you see it? The ball is still in his hands here. The ball is still in his hands. Look at that. Look at that. On a dime. Oh, and then Red, White, and Bills. This one too. This one that did on Thanksgiving Day against the Lions 2 seasons ago was also up there in one of the greatest throws I've ever seen. Let me look that up as well.
So
remember, it was on the field goal winning drive against Jacksonville or against.
While you do that, I think some people would say Robert Foster was the one that stood out for you. I'll share what stood out for me. in just a moment because I'll do the first one. It was who was it? The freaking small little guy. He plays punt returner for the 49ers. What am I not to? What am I thinking?
Dude,
he was a punt returner for us. We drafted him, and for some reason he's eluding me.
Oh, Deontay Hardy.
Nope, not Deontay Hardy. I'm talking about rookie year. Rookie year preseason. Little guy. McLeod. Thank you.
Oh, Ray McLeod. Yep.
Ray. Let me see if I can find that one. As you
good pull on this one, Red, White, and Bill. Look at the needle thread here. Look at this. There are 3 D-backs with the game on the line. First down with 18 seconds left. They're immediately in field goal range.
That throw.
Oh my God.
That's one that actually stands out to me as well. That's a big throw. And that's when he hurt his elbow. His shoulder was messed up or something like that. And he slung that thing, man.
You know what's another good one is the play he made this past year falling out of bounds against the Chiefs.
That guy's legit.
The one where he was halfway out of bounds off his back. I mean, there's another one too. The touchdown he had in the divisional round this year against the Chiefs as well. On the front corner pylon.
Yep.
I mean, there's a
whole bunch. There's a whole bunch. There's not a whole lot that doesn't. So there's a whole lot of good things that Josh Allen has done in his career. So listen, big shout out to Josh and big shout out to everybody. Listen, we can get into a whole. Another one. Yeah, we can get into a whole one, but like the one that stands out for me is that pass of Cole Beasley. It was just on a rope to the sideline, and Cole Beasley stretched out and just bang and caught that thing. I love how my wife calls me when I'm on my thing. Golly. But big shout out to the roster. Big shout out to what this team is going to look like going forward. I'm excited. I'm excited for Josh to see how Josh, because you know what the biggest thing I'm excited for? What Josh is going to do with this opportunity. How he's going to lead. We're all going to be watching what kind of leader he turns into, because now you're the elder statesman on this team. You're the OG. So everybody's going to be looking up to Josh Allen to being that leader. What kind of maturity is he going to bring to the table after Diggs has left? It's like a whole new fresh scent in the room. How does it play up? How will he take over? I'm looking forward to this to see just how he's going to take full advantage of this, because you got a lot of young guys in that room now. You got Keon Coleman being one of them, Khalil Shakir being another, right? Dalton Kincaid, another young buck.
All of them. I mean,
it's great. Young buck. Man, oh man, oh man. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I need your help with somebody.
Yeah,
I need your help with something. So the other day I had to concoct a power ranking top 10 NFL teams.
Wow, let's do it.
I got roasted with my list. I thought my list was legitimate.
Let me see it.
So let's just say, and it's gonna be tough for you because you probably have to think about who it is. So this is gonna be top of the mind, and I need the chat to help me out before you know what I'm saying, before we kind of conclude the show in just a little bit.
Are we basing it on roster alone?
We're basing it on roster. We're basing it on the rookies that they brought. We're basing it on how they ended the year last year, because that's how I looked at it. How did you end the year last year?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do in the offseason? Who did you bring in as a free agent? Who did you draft? And what's the outlook? What's in your division? What happened in your division? All those things that play a factor. So if you look at all 32 teams, look at all the teams. I mean, we know who number 1, 2, 3, 1 is. I'll just say Kansas City is number 1 right now. You're the defending champs. You're the number 1 squad. But it's 10 all the way up leading. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, are the Bills a top 10 power rank team?
Yes.
Okay. I agree. I have them in my top 10. So if I were to say your 10th best team based on roster, based on improvement, based on, what would you say your 10th best team is? Honorable mention for me.
Yep.
I don't have Dallas Cowboys in the top 10.
I don't blame you.
Oh, okay. You're with me. Okay.
I don't blame you at all.
I don't blame.
I don't hover in there. Honorable top. I would have them hovering there.
Yes, I had the Dallas Cowboys at 12.
I think that's fair.
Okay. I had the Dolphins at 11.
Fair.
Fair?
Fair.
This is probably where you're like, oh, I don't know. So top 10.
You're about to say 10?
I'm about to say 10.
I was gonna give you my crazy hot take, but I think it's fair. The Chicago Bears.
Ooh, that they were in my honorable mention, but I didn't have them hovering anywhere. I just said honorable mention based on what they've done with the roster and so on and so forth. But you have them at 10?
I don't know how they don't have a top 10 roster right now. But that would be more of a future projection. If I'm going into the year, my top 10 teams, I think the Bears have a top 10 roster right now. But
you're putting them in a power. I'm talking about power ranking out of the 32 teams. That's the 10th best team.
I think they're right around there. Maybe not right at 10, but man, I think they're right around there.
Honorable mention.
Yeah, perfect. that's it's tough because you have nothing to back it up, but the future there looks so
right.
Neither they're the Packers of this coming year to me.
My number 10 team, Packers.
I might even put the Packers a little higher.
Oh shit. Okay, here we go. So my man says, say it with your chest, boy.
I don't see how Chicago doesn't have a top 10 roster right now. I just don't.
All right.
I mean, it's what they do with it, obviously, but
I had the Packers at 10.
Okay.
How do you feel about the Packers being at 10? And the way I looked at it was your quarterback is A1. He absolutely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys last year. He almost came in and took down, was it the Rams? Or not the Rams, excuse me, the 49ers. He almost took down the 49ers. They were close to taking out the 49ers. I have the Packers on the top 10 team on the rise, and Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Musgrave, Christian Watkins. They're led by a young rookie core. They're top 10.
I couldn't agree more. They're 100% a top 10 team.
Number 9. This one was the kicker. Everyone was like, what? Steelers.
No way.
Not even close?
They are not a top 10 team.
So hear me out. This was a playoff team last year. With Mason Rudolph, with no TJ Watt, and they took it to us. They took it to us pretty good in the playoffs, but obviously we came above and we won, but they took it to us. So now they've improved their O-line. You get TJ Watt back. Now you have a competent quarterback. You don't have Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph throwing the football, and you've added some young depth receivers. I put them in the top 10 because that defense always kept their Steelers teams in the game in a tough AFC North. And they just got bad.
Funny? They're the opposite of the Cowboys, where they don't have the roster to put in the top 10, but they win. Like they win the games. Like the Cowboys lose the big games, but they have the roster, so you feel like top 10. The Steelers win the big games, but they have the roster where it feels like they shouldn't be a top 10. But the terminology today, I said overrated on OBJ, and that was foot and mouth because that was the wrong word choice. Took it to us with the Steelers. Definitely not took it to us. Based on what they had, they were competitive. I'll give them credit there.
Based on what they had. We beat them 31-17. And
it fell apart, though. But
man. Go ahead. We went up 14-0 in the first quarter. It doesn't matter. So I had the Steelers at 9, and wherever. Like,
so you think the Steelers are better than Green Bay then?
If you were to put the Steelers and the Green Bay Packers to play right now,
yeah,
would you take the Packers over the Steelers?
I would. Yes.
Would you? I see. It's a tight one. So I could, and I was going.
I see what you're saying 100%.
There was an angle I was going with that, right?
Because
so then I went.
It's so hard to knock Tomlin, who once again out of the depths of hell pulls out another double-digit victory season. I don't get it.
You know what? Competitive. All right, but I had them at 9, and that's where maybe I could have went. I could have put another team in there, but I was like, I
get your mindset. I really do. But let's hear the others, and then maybe we can see where I would pounce it out.
Number 8. Where do you think I went with the number 8? Some people might think this is too low. Texans.
Okay.
Texans at number 8. I like the Texans. Great OC, great weapons. Diggs going to the squad. Like, they're on the rise. And I personally think when I re-look at this list, I was like, ooh, I think I did have them too low. I should have put them a little higher.
I might have put them a little higher.
8 is a little too low on the list. I think they should definitely be higher on the list.
I think I might have had them at around 6.
Okay. 7. I had the Jets at 7.
You know what? I've been looking at the Jets roster. It's a believe it when I see it situation, but that's a team that 100% got better in this offseason.
And it's all speculation as to what they're going to bring. They're getting their quarterback back.
It's all based on that. It is all
beat the Eagles. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills with Zach Wilson.
That is a team that 100% got significantly better this offseason.
They did. And boy, did they say, you got the Jets in the top 10? Yes, bitch, I do, right? So some folks might say, I don't know about that. But A-Rod, like you said, it's hindering on quarterback.
Rico, I just can't for the life of me imagine him playing a 17-game season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting. But I had the Jets because I saw what they did. I saw the roster they put together.
It's fair. But do you think the Jets are? So you think the Jets are better than Green Bay and Houston?
If you play these guys right now, see, that's the tough one. I'm looking at because the biggest thing that stood out to me was the biggest problem for the Jets last year was the O-line. The O-line was atrocious. It was horrible. What did they do? They built the O-line from left to right. They added Fashanu.
Yeah,
they're bringing Moses.
Yeah,
they're bringing Tyrone Smith. They got Joe Tippmann. So they Vera Tucker. So they have the line. They
upgraded the line. Rodgers back, and then upgraded the wide receiver position.
And then they got Hassan Reddick on defense.
Plus, they already have one of the best defenses in the league. So
how do you not put him in?
This has to be realistically, if that offense can score 17 to 20 points, they're going to be a fringe playoff team if Rodgers is healthy, just based on that D.
Yeah. So maybe I would have switched the Jets and the Texans.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So 7. Listen, the people in the chat were like, "What the?" But when your team is not where you think they're supposed to be, they lose their minds, right? So I had number 6, Ravens.
Okay.
Ravens at number 6. Some might say, maybe you should have them higher. And I'm like, I thought about that. I was like, wait, you got Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson, when it comes playoff time, I mean, shoot, the record says it for itself. And does he play his best football in the playoffs? Not great. But I have the Ravens at 6. Yes, they brought Derrick Henry. I get that part. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Zay Flowers is going to his year 2. He's going to be great. They brought Tez Walker. They drafted Tez Walker. So they got some good pieces. But I still have them at 6. And they got Nate Wiggins in the draft. So I put him at 6. Here's where it gets dicey. Who do you think I got at number 5?
The Lions.
Ooh, Eagles.
Wow.
I put the Eagles at 5.
Okay.
And so my thinking behind the Eagles at 5 is, listen, I saw the way you guys ended the year last year. Your coach, I don't think anybody's rocking with that coach too much because he fired his OC, fired his defensive coordinator. Now it's on you. Did they lose respect for the head coach? They faltered. The Bills almost took them down with a depleted defense, and we almost stole that game, right?
If those backs hit, they are back. They shirt up. They had the worst defensive secondary in the league last year. They go back to back on those picks. 2 really great picks. If those turn out, they're back.
Cooper DeJean and what's my man name? Quentin Mitchell,
who was thought to be one of the better, best available at that time. Did not think that he would last to the second round, right?
Absolutely. So they get 2 back-to-back corners. So I know they're going to be nice, but I looked at how they ended last year and how it just wasn't great. It didn't look good. So I put them at number 5. They still got a damn good roster. Saquon Barkley being there. They signed both their guys. They got Devontae Parker. They'll be good. They'll be solid. So I have them at 5. Number 4, Lions.
Okay. Yep.
Lions look good. Listen, they were on the brink. They were this close.
They should have went to the Super Bowl.
I'm telling you, they were this close. So they're going to be knocking on the door to make things happen. So I'm more on St. Brown. That defense they got DJ Reader on the defensive line, and they're this close. They're hungry. Their coach got them rolling right now. So, so right now, that's my number 4 squad. Who is at number 3?
The Buffalo Bills.
The Bills. The minute I said the Bills, bro, all hell broke loose in the chat. All hell broke loose.
I can't agree with it. I love the mindset, but man, I can't agree with it.
So, and maybe part of me was stirring the pot a little bit to kind of get the people going a little bit.
Sure.
Did I truly believe that they were number 3? Could I make an argument? I can. And my argument in this case was the number 1 team that's on this list, the Bills almost took it right to them. It took a missed field goal, and then we're out of it completely. So, and we take it to them every single year. So that was my thought process behind it.
Mhm.
Maybe I was a little overzealous. That was very homerish of me. That's my first moment of being homerish. I'll admit it. I was a little homerish on that.
Definitely.
Maybe they could have my original list. I had the Bills back at like between 6 and 7.
That's where I would have them.
I'm with you, but I mean, listen to some people in my ear. I won't say names. You know what I mean?
Pierre.
You know who he is, Bobby. Anyway, Bobby's like, "Yo, put him at 3, man." I was like, "You know what? Let's do it." But realistically, I can make a case, but I think they're around 6, 7, maybe 5. I can hover them around 5. And then I had 49ers.
Yep.
And then the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right. I would go. I have the same first 2. I have the Chiefs, the 49ers.
Okay.
I would bump the Lions up to 3. I think the Lions are one of the best teams in this league. I think that, I mean, they pissed themselves in the second half. They were up 24-7 at half on the Niners. They should have won it.
Hold that thought too. And the reason I also kind of threw the Bills up there, I was like, wait, who's got the? And I channeled my inner bot. What does Vegas say about where the Bills stand? Do they see them as a 6th, 7th best team to win the Super Bowl, or do they see them as a top 3, top 4 team?
They see them as the 4th team to win the Super Bowl.
So I had them at 3. So
Yep.
Sue me. So part of me was like, fuck it. I can do that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, but then there was a bit of a homer in me at the same time. So anyways, proceed. So you got Chiefs, Niners, Lions.
Chiefs, Niners, Lions. Then I would probably
Ravens.
I'm sorry, Houston. I got Houston at 4.
I like it.
If Stroud takes that next step with that raw, I just don't know how they're not. Actually, hold on. Ravens 4, Houston 5. Ravens 4, Houston 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't discredit the Ravens taking it to them in the second half last year.
I like it. Ravens 4.
But I think Houston's ready to take that next step for sure.
Texans 5. All right.
Yeah.
Who's your bottom? Is this where you put the Bills at 6?
At 6, at 6, I'm gonna go. Man, this is tough.
Listen to this. Ravens dismantle the Texans, and the Texans are soft at DT. This is where it becomes.
I had to put the Ravens above.
You can actually, but it's all based on what they did last year, what they did in the offseason, what they did in the draft. All that good stuff plays a part. So you got the Texans. Now you got Eagles, Jets.
Yes. So at 6, I'll put Philadelphia at 6.
Philadelphia 6.
Because I think if that secondary gets shored up, that's still one of the best rosters in the league.
And they got a hell of a defensive end too.
I mean, they start, yeah, exactly. And they added Saquon, and they started off 9-1.
They're coming for your ass.
So the Bills haven't played the Ravens in a few years. We'll see that this year. And I mean, I think we're crazy to think the Bills have a comparable roster to Houston right now. I just think that Houston's roster is better.
Yep.
And I think that Houston right now is a better. They're set up better going into the season than the Buffalo Bills are right now.
Okay.
I'm going to put the Bills at 7.
Bills 7, and I think that's fair. But I can make an argument that it could be higher. But I think that's fair. 7.
You definitely could
for sure.
I'm going to put the Packers at 8.
Oh, Packers at 8. I like that.
Yep, Packers at 8. I'm going to put, with a healthy Joe Burrow, the Bengals at 9.
I struggled with that one. I was like, could I put the Bengals? But what did the Bengals add this offseason that's got me like, with Joe Burrow being back, what did they add enough that's going to be like, okay, they're back in it?
I know. But
it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's a team that they just win. I mean, they win and they play. They're a team that nobody wants to face, Cincy. And I think with a healthy Joe Burrow, that's a playoff team no matter what. Just based on what we've seen with him in there. I mean, that's a top 10 team to me, Cincy. But, if they lose T. Higgins, I don't think they're going to. But if they do,
I think they keep him.
Now, rounding out the 10, it gets tough because I think there's a lot of teams that you could throw in there.
Mm-hmm.
The more I think about Chicago, I think they're on the fringe, but I can't throw them in the top 10 just yet because we have to see it play out. But they're right in the 12 to 13 range for me, Chicago.
Yep.
But at 10, I'm not going to give it to Dallas. I can't. I'm so sick and tired of propping Dallas up as a top 10 team just to watch them lose every big game that they're in. That's why I can't put Miami at 10 either. It's the same situation for Miami. It's the exact same situation for me.
What about the Rams?
The Rams are who I'm considering right now. The Rams are who I'm considering. That was as bad of a team as they had last year. And they
sounds like Chicago.
Dude, I just think Chicago, I don't know how you can't be bullish on Chicago right now. Man, at 10.
I battled the Rams. The Rams, I was like, ooh, they got Puka Nacua. You got a healthy Cooper Kupp. You got Matt Stafford coming back. Is going to be healthy.
Pencil them in. I'm going to put the Rams at 10.
What about the Colts?
The Colts are the top 15 to me.
You got the Rams.
Rams at 10.
Rams / I feel like you want to add another one that's like they're like Rams are neck and neck. Because I know you're looking at the NFL, all 32
there's a
NFL
couple teams that you could say the Cowboys and the Dolphins would be the two that you would probably get blowback for not having. I'm just so sick and tired of any big game, whether it's postseason or regular season, they lose it every single time, no matter what. I cannot have the Dolphins be a top 10 team with a 3-game lead on the AFC East for them to end the year the way that they did without a signature win other than the Dallas Cowboys game, where you had the two biggest frauds in the league battle it off for King Fraud, and Dallas won it. Dallas is the biggest fraud in pro sports going, not even close. But if there was a close, it is the Miami Dolphins. So
Miami Dolphins. I mean the Dolphins, they're right on it, on the fringe. On the fringe.
Space Oddity saying we lose every big game just like Dallas. I'm talking like every big game. The Bills win a ton of big games in the regular season. The Bills won 6 consecutive games last year that were all playoff games, including beating the ever-living shit out of the Dallas Cowboys, almost to the point of relegation. That was such a bad beatdown. Brutal. Right?
I'm gonna be real with
the
you.
Dolphins in a play-in game, the Chiefs, of course, being one of those games.
Cleveland. What about Cleveland?
So here's the thing.
On Cleveland?
I just think it's over for Deshaun Watson. I think it's over. It's never going to be back to Houston, Deshaun Watson. That's the only way that they get up there to me. That defense and the miraculous off-the-couch performance of Joe Flacco was what really sparked a light for them last year. I mean, Myles Garrett maybe could have been the MVP. I mean, he was just unbelievable. But Deshaun Watson, they are reliant on him getting back to top 8-ish play, and I don't think it's going to happen. The guy hasn't played enough football the last handful of years for him to get back there, and now coming off of an injury, I don't know. How do you feel about them? They're definitely a team we sleep on for sure because they have a roster.
That 10 spot
coming off that injury too, Rico.
This is what I'm saying. And Nick Chubb may not be the same player again. He's not even slated to come back. They're still saying there's some.
I know
he's not all the way there. So to me, I battled with that 10 spot. Rams were up there for me. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys were up there as well. You can't dismiss the Cowboys. The Dolphins. The one team that really stood out to me that people are, I wouldn't say sleeping on this team. They're not sleeping per se, but once I was looking at all the scenarios and looking at all the teams that could make it and that really not looking at this team, Detroit, obviously, we know that Detroit is up there. The Packers are up there. The NFC, because I'm looking at the NFC, I'm looking at the AFC. Tennessee, they really put some pieces together. The receiving squad with Ridley, D-Hop, Trey Burks. They got that fast tight end. I don't know, is this African last name. They got Tony Pollard. They upgraded the O-line. Will Levis going into a second. You don't know what's going to happen. That defense they bolstered. They got in Snead. So they could do some damage. I'm not saying it's a top 10 team, but they're a team that you gotta look out for. But anyway, I'm glad that I was able to share this top 10.
I don't think yours was crazy. I think the Bills at 3 is probably what got people.
It was wild. That's where they're like, man, shut your ass up. And I didn't have any Bills gear on me. So they're like, yo, is this guy a Bills fan?
Maybe. Right. I think the highest you could put Buffalo right now would probably be 5. At the high point.
Probably 4 or 5. Because we've taken care of the Ravens.
5. Yes.
We battle the Ravens. We take care of the Ravens. We do. It's just go look at the records. It's just what it is.
What about
Detroit Lions is a different game. It's a different ball game. But, I mean, listen, it is what it is at this point. 49ers, listen, every team you can play with. You can definitely play with them. Would we have been able to play with them with that depleted defense? Different ball game. But I'm going to into this year. Matt Milano being back. You know what I'm saying? Christian Benford coming back. Rasul Douglas coming back. A little safety position, we'll see. But I believe in McDermott. I believe in Babbage. So maybe I'm overdoing it. Maybe I think the 5 spot might be great. 5, 6.
We will find out.
We will find out for sure. But fam, you guys let me know if we're Z-Bart and I a little off on the top 10. We should do a top 10 next show and maybe go like top 10 receivers or top 10.
Rankings are fun. They're fun. No matter what you say, someone's gonna be pissed every time.
No matter what.
Every time.
Jacksonville would have been a nice addition, but I'm not quite a believer in Jacksonville.
Space Audie's putting it perfect. I don't know. They're 1 week they're the best team in the league. 1 week they're the worst team in the league. They're so odd. Chargers are another one too. I think they have to be better with Harbaugh. They're gonna be a pain. They got worse though. They lost a lot of guys, but
worst team in the NFL right now. If you were to say the worst team right now based on
Carolina. Yep. Carolina. Maybe Denver.
I think I'm with you. I'm with you.
Carolina, man, that was as bad as it gets last year. It was unwatchable. Yeah, and they didn't really have a great draft. I mean, what did they do? What did Carolina do?
I got Xavier Legette. Got some good squad. I can't remember who else they got.
At all, though. That's the problem. I mean, we'll see. But
we shall see. But folks,
all right.
There's the show. I appreciate every last one of y'all tuning in. Did you guys enjoy it? What part of the show did you guys enjoy? Listen, we told you this show is not just about Bills, it's about everything in between. I love the engagement that we get in the chat. This is what we hope for. We still don't have a name for this pod. Help us. We can't go with BF Radio. I just can't.
We can't do it. It's off the table. It's off the table.
He said it's off the table.
Think about it. 2 words. Encapsulate the show. Let us know in the comments once it's over.
That's it. And normally we take phone calls, but we didn't have a chance because wifey's on my ass right now. She's like,
"Go get it
up here." You know how it is. But I choose to do these podcasts in the afternoon because this is when me and my man Z-Bot can get at it, and it lets you guys go about your day, your evening, and then listen. We're gonna keep this rolling along the season.
No doubt.
This is the beauty of this show. So hopefully by the season's beginnings, we will have ourselves a name for the show. Hopefully, something that is catchy. It is catchy. So
help us out.
Z-Bot, what you got for the peoples? What's next on the what's the next on the horizon for us? What you got going this weekend? You good?
This weekend, watching the NBA and the NHL, I guess. Back live next week though, and then soon within the next week or so, we should get the schedule. So I'm very excited to that. Hopefully, the next time we're on, if not the time after that, we'll have the schedule to talk about as well.
The NFL sure knows how to just monopolize everything. They just schedule coming out to an event. So that'll be fun.
Crazy. I can't wait.
All right, folks. Well, that is our time. My man Z-Bot is the Rico report and the smoke break combined. We'll try to figure something out for ourselves. And show up that jersey again, man. Caitlin Clark in that Indiana Fever jersey. My man Bot is rocking it. It wasn't as slim.
It's the first game tonight too. It's the preseason for them. So
that should be fun.
You're wrapping. No doubt.
That should be fun all the way, man. So, folks, enjoy the rest of your day. If you guys are at work and you guys are on break or whatever the case is, you guys have us listening into your earphone and you're sitting there typing in your cubicle. Shout out to y'all if you're driving home, whatever the case may be. We appreciate y'all. It's your boy Rico. It's the boy Bot, Biggie Bot, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. You guys have yourself a fantastic evening, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace. See you. That's it, boys.